Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever stream of Frontline News. Today, we're going to talk about the grand finals that finished like the last week. For that intents and purposes, we have three really beautiful guests today. It's going to be Dead Zone from Team Penta, Lapse from Simp, and Stefan from Kazna. Your hosts for today are going to be the Killzor from Team Ding and myself, Zmor, from no team and all. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
So, if you would be kind enough to introduce yourselves, let's go like by the order of the cams, I guess.
And you're first, more.
No, man, like I don't have a team. Come on.
Uh, so I'm the Killzor. Most people might know me. Played in EU before. Played on an A for a bit. Lapse might remember that. Currently playing for Team Ding, and that's about it. Next person up is Dead Zone.
Oh, thank you, Ducky. So yeah, I'm Dead Zone. I'm team captain from Penta Sports, the team that fucks up every LAN event they attend.
Oh, dude, there's kids there.
Hi, I'm Lapse from Team Simp. I'm technically their mascot. I'm one of their 10 players. You don't see me on the field much, but we did just make it to the Global Grand Finals, and we just got back about a week ago.
And to finish it, I'm Stefan from Kazna, and well, yeah, we also were at Grand Finals, and we'll talk about some points now.
Wow, Stefan. You weren't joking when you said you didn't really know how to do that. Anyway, it's good. It's a pilot episode. Come on. So we did have a couple of questions, like just a couple. So we're gonna touch upon that.
Nice work.
We're gonna touch upon. Yeah, it's just really close to the street. Touch upon that later on. So yeah, let's just start talking because the topic is grand finals anyway. We can just talk about the event. How did you like it? How was the whole setup? Of course, the Killzor and me just
Yeah, it was great.
we were
Loved
looking
it.
we were looking on Twitch. It was really cool, like with all those extra effects and everything.
The jugglers were amazing. Really amazing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was really good. So how did you guys feel that we're actually there on site?
It was really nicely set up and controlled from a security standpoint and from just keeping things separate. So, like, the teams had individual locker rooms in the back that we all got to hang out in, and like they had all of our software and stuff on a solid state drive that plugged into the computers. So, from a player perspective, it was really convenient to be able to practice, do the backstage stuff, and then get on stage. And then the stage, of course, was just so busy. There was so much production staff, and it felt really nice. It was nicely controlled.
Evan?
Edzo's microphone's muted again.
Yeah, I saw
Oops.
this.
I could just see a Dutch guy like talking to his microphone.
The finals
like.
were much better produced than that right there. So let's start that one again.
This is not the production's fault. I just want to point that out. Production is doing fine. This is like the player's fault.
This is Penta's fault, yeah.
Penta throwing even in podcasts.
Blame hockey. But yeah, like I wanted to say on stream, it's like the event was really sick. The stage really huge. When we came in the first time, it's like wow, this stage it's so big and everything was really well organized.
The
Stefan?
entry to the event was pretty cool. They had two tanks out in front, and then I have a panorama shot that I'll post later on my Facebook, and they had it all branded on the inside, so it's really nice. And you walked inside, got through the halls, and then there was a swanky swag. Well, I guess it's a store, so it wasn't really free stuff, but I even bought like a bag.
They usually have those kind of drinks and stuff. Is usually pretty good.
And they had a whole bunch of computers set up as well, so the public had a really good time, and that was all really, really separate from the play area and the player area, and the players entered through the back. So it was well thought out, and it really made it so it felt like we were actually playing an esport and doing something real. You didn't enter through the front door. It was nice.
You get to try those virtual.
I saw a lot of people doing it, but the line was so long. I mean, there were so many people at the event. I didn't even bother trying to stay in a line for that.
So like, did you
Fuck,
guys?
not again. Oops, beep.
I'm reading again. Jesus Christ.
I have to push the talk. I'm not used to it. So on the PCs, there were 28 PCs. There were two Panda guys, Raging and Vale. There was Papavian from Utopia and Fusi from Oops, and they were playing 4v4 versus Eclipse. And I just want to point out that Europe won 4-0, 4 times in a row.
As per usual.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, Lapse.
Nothing unexpected there. Yeah.
This is an EU-friendly stream.
Hey, the Boy Scouts came prepared. They tried. Give them a break.
Yeah, but,
You guys from Simp, how did you have any time like to prepare? Did you have any practices? Any time from practice? I know, was it all set up there, or did you just do it from your personal laptops in your rooms? Or
So we didn't have enough gaming hardware to do anything ourselves, and we showed up at the venue at I think 9:30, and they were still finishing everything, setting up on the first day. And so before the first match we had on stage with, well, I'm trying to blank that out of my memory because we lost 5-0. But before we got wrecked by Wombats, we had access to the computers and we had booted everything up, and that was the first time we had access to our pro accounts on the EU server. So we spent the time, getting all the equipment and all that stuff loaded up. So we had plenty of time, more than 5 hours, and yeah, we had plenty of time to practice and get set up. That probably shouldn't say that. I mean, we showed up the first day and looked horrible because we weren't prepared, right? The second day we did a lot better, as you guys saw. So.
I remember something with Red Canids on the first day also. It was like 1-3 or something.
We have a weakness, and Brazilian teams tend to exploit that, and they're pretty good at it. So, no, no excuses. They took us to the ropes, and they showed us that we needed to work for it if we wanted to get out of that group.
Because you talked about, or you asked about practice more.
Yeah.
Like a lot of teams, we did it as Kazna, and I think a lot of the Russian teams also, like Navi, Wombats were there. We trained in at like boot campish at Buddha on Wednesday and Thursday. Like you could,
what a lot of teams did.
you could talk to those guys and then basically rent that room for like 5, 6, 7 hours, and there we did 2-3 hours practices twice. So yeah, that was nice.
yeah,
I
so
didn't-
it was organized. Yeah, that was.
Well, that we organized that as like
Yeah,
individual
they
teams.
didn't it wasn't ESL or gaming.
Yeah, but there was the option to do that, which is always nice. We also did that last year at Grand Finals.
Maybe something to remember for before when
We looked into that, and we didn't have enough time to think about it. So yeah, we'll probably look into that next time.
Yeah, another chance to get wrecked by Wombats.
I know,
Lucky
right?
for you, they're not gonna be there next year probably.
Man, that first shot, that 1800 damage from artillery, and the overview too. It was insulting. It was from artillery view. If it was first person,
Since we're like talking, so you guys were like kind of satisfied with all the organization done. It was for us, watching it was pretty cool.
Supposed to miss, but he hit with RNG.
Yeah, but it's RT's RNG.
Yeah.
That's a talk for like we can talk about it for like.
that's not talking about RT and RNG. Great joke, mate. RT always has RNG on their side. You should know that by now.
Oh god. Okay, so since we're like talking, so you guys were like kind of satisfied with all the organization done. It was for us, watching it was pretty cool. And
definitely compared to like the level of production we see in the North American server, it was really well polished. I mean, the event was a lot of fun, and we even had a guide assigned to us who was there was an extra guy who was making sure we were getting where we needed to go, and he was working with production, so we didn't have to talk directly to production. So it was really well polished and really well put together.
Well, I mean, it's the event that they have unlimited resources for. You know what I mean? Like, they just have as many resources as they possibly need for this event.
They just turn Cyprus upside down and sprinkle resources all over the event, is what you're telling me.
Pretty much like that. And there goes some more. It's the first time. Amazing. Some more drops for the first time.
We seem to have lost one of our wonderful hosts here, but I guess we can continue on without him.
Can we though?
Yeah, we can. So, who was the underdog of this event? I'm bringing that up so you don't say me.
I'm not sure actually. I expected all the results almost. Like I didn't really miss any of the results. Nice, with some more going away now. The webcams are fucked up, but I have to fix that. God damn it, some more.
Well, just the underdogs, talking about underdogs, we can see that, everybody expected more out of Yale Gaming, but they, bottomed their group, 0-2, losing against the other Asian team, and the other Asian team eventually, managed to get out.
That was brutal. I watched them walk out of the backstage room after they had realized they were at a group stage, and I guess that's an overdog? I don't know.
I don't know if you, to be honest, about it, EL, I expected them to do a lot better as well, but to lose against Yato, not the biggest surprise of my life per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those guys aren't messing around though. I mean, they take it pretty seriously, so it was.
They're considered as professional athletes in China. That's what I heard a lot.
Yeah, I mean they got those branded leather jackets.
Them jackets, Oh my god! But you don't like.
Those jackets are nice though.
Everybody wants the jacket. Come on.
Unlike when I see a Penta one, I'm like remembering the scores. How they lost against Rusty Toaster. Now I had to fix this up.
They also
Lapse,
say in
do you
Twitch
want
chat that
some,
you should lower your noise gate on stream.
Don't listen to one man.
I never have no idea what that is.
That's because his mic keeps cutting out.
What was our next question, that zone?
Fails. Who? I mean, so obviously not talking about driving into rock pockets or anything. Was there anyone else that made some critical mistakes?
Horsik.
Just look at Hell Races. They have fought a lot with physics, like tanks on the side, tanks getting stuck behind rocks. Unbelievable.
But there's this There's this one game I remember where Horsik and Lucic are in a 3v2. Box versus Hellraisers, and Horsik decides not to drive back to the base and lose by cap.
That was also bad play by Lucic to get stuck there. They both fucked it up so hard.
Yeah.
It wasn't only Wasik.
Yeah, I know,
we saw a lot of creative uses of physics, and a couple of them were a little too creative, that's for sure.
Yeah, I really loved it when Navi turned around Lesha and shoved them on the cap. That was amazing.
That was really good. After that game, I was expecting so much, from other teams also to use physics to flip tanks and stuff, but it didn't really happen that much through the tournament.
I don't know, man. Just purely physics, all the boosts on Cliff are all physics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Way they got stuck and stuff, all physics.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing with fire, you're opening, we haven't had these areas of the maps exposed before, so, the second you start playing with that stuff, you're going to find the rough edges, and it's like, alright, that wasn't really designed for your tank to drive on. Maybe a couple patches from now it will be, but...
Well, I mean, it's, we could see it just cause, losing the match just to do boost, taking 1,000 damage for it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, mine's attack. That happened to both teams, if I'm right, that they, on the boost, lost 1k HP.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we lost 400. That's true.
The difference being is, though, that, Navi sent 2 batches up, so one of them always got up, while Wombat sent only just cause, and just cause failed. So...
Ducky, can you move some more back in TeamSpeak?
God damn it, some more. Jesus Christ.
User was
You know,
channel.
at one point there was considered to make some more, stream this, would have had to restart 3 times already.
Sorry about that, guys. Strong Serbian internet. Let's do it without the webcam now, so you don't have to adjust everything every few seconds.
Nice, more.
We've
Nice.
been rolling along here. So we just got past all of the fun experimenting with physics and how people paid for that. We were getting into the favorite series or matches, and I'm just going to put in there. I thought Simp taking NSS to tiebreaker had to be a pretty spectacular one, right?
True, but then again, I'm like this NSS that I saw, not the NSS from the Russian finals. It's really not
Yeah,
the NSS from the
I
Russian
agree.
finals. It's like, and the Russian finals they were so good, so good. Like not trying to take anything away from Simp. I think you guys played like awesome as well. We did show on Prokhorovka, you could have won that match. Uh, I feel that NSS just was trying too hard to outplay their enemy instead of playing their own style. Like this Kong GC thing all the time. I don't know, man. Like against you, they played kind of normal, but they still made a lot of stupid mistakes. But NSS just in general was like not
Well,
really
I
there.
mean, we analyzed NSS as brawl heavy and push excitable. So trolling them into pushes and making them do things that they felt comfortable doing was definitely part of how Simp approached the match. And I want to say, just a little credit, we may have broken them on that first one. I mean, you don't expect to go 4-5, 5-4 against the North American teams. North American teams, and I think we might have broken them, and that's why they didn't perform as well in the next two matches. I'm just going to take credit for that.
Yeah.
Take credit where credit's due.
Well, and then again, Kazna Eclipse was also a pretty good series. I mean, it was way closer than I expected it to be. Or I expected Kazna to take that 5-0 to be honest, and then yeah, and then certain things happened. Remember, Stefan?
Was it that good of a series for? Like it just like out of those 8 rounds, I would say at least 6 were lost by one team just doing a wrong tactical call, which should never happen. So I'm not sure if that was that great of a game.
Watching the games I was like as a Kazna fanboy, I was like really sad. It was so close. You were so close to almost losing the series and getting out in groups after I know that you trained so much, so hard for this. It was really sad.
You don't want to know what I thought after when we
I-
pushed when we were leading 4-3 on Cliff. After we pushed and we had like 3 batches left against like 5 of them.
Yeah.
Like, and I knew that tiebreaker was Ghost Town, which was
But then they go greedy.
maybe our worst map. I was kind of also thinking that it could
They,
be close.
they go greedy then. But then again, you're right. There was
And
a
they got
few.
super confident.
There was a few fail pushes from you and from them as well. There was this one Himmelsdorf round that you will remember where you have like every single advantage of the world and then all of a sudden you lost the round. Or there's the other Himmelsdorf round where all of a sudden there's does 6k damage and everybody's like, what? I mean, your hoodies were pretty good though. Like, I mean, Kung Fu Stefan, great idea. Provided
Mate, we have so many requests for those hoodies. It's like unbelievable.
Kung
We
Fu
really gotta
Stefan.
get a shop up.
Well, I mean, it was fun the first time, but then against Navi.
Yeah, like
that's
I don't know. We were like 50-50 split if we would do that again because like against Navi could be serious and stuff. But
Navi game was really sad. Watching that.
That was a bit
Yeah.
brutal.
That was like watching Simp against Wombat. It was like, oh. It was
Hey,
like,
at least
oh.
at least we had an excuse. At least we were on tilt because we got one shot by 40-43 in a bad
It was
I
like
don't know, they
the
never have
funniest part
excuse, man.
about
I'm just gonna
that.
keep on bringing up excuses.
You know your IS4? I think it was Drynets, right?
It was her collar. It was Nits. Nits.
No. Yeah, I know. But after that, you had the IS4 on that corner, right?
That was dry nets
And-
and
It was like this every time that Kusok was reloaded, Drynets like peeked up a little bit, and that's
Yeah.
the moment Kusok shoot and hit him in the turret, like every time.
so Photo Finish was not able to make it to the event, and that was his position that he was very comfortable in. And we had he quote he said, "That is an arty safe area so long as you know how to drive." And Dryness just got the raw end of that stick, thinking it was an arty safe area. And you look back at the stream and it's like just going straight in line with the shot. You're like, that doesn't help when you're just backing up on his line of fire. It's like you gotta do some lateral movement across this reticle, otherwise, those clicks.
It's also Kuso. He's like, I don't know, he's a clicker. He has a RNG bonus that not many have.
Good on him. Bad on us.
Oh yeah, they're still one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so best game slash series. Best game slash series. Let's the best game slash series. It's obvious the finals, but other than that, I'd say what it was the best game.
I can't even get close to that final game. That was insane.
I'm like thinking what other game I think was really really good to watch. I think just like in general the first matchup and then Hellraisers versus who did they play? Hellraisers versus Rocks was also really good. That's probably my second highlight, like Rocks versus Hellraisers. What about you?
Like in the bracket, we saw top bracket, we saw 5-4, 5-4, and then it was like 5-0, 5-0.
It's like from the first day, the first and the last games were actually close. Everything in between was 5-1 or 5-0.
I still feel it was a really predictable event, as in like beforehand, I guess the entire top 4 right. I just had 2 matches running.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of having the same 2 teams in the finals again.
But I mean, there was the thing where everybody said that Hellraisers was going to be bad because they didn't make it to LAN, blah 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 blah, and then they ended up doing exactly what I expected.
Yeah, it seems like they didn't really seem that confident in the quarters and in the semis, but in the finals they just went all out, man. It was like honestly probably the best game in the finals. You can't really top that.
It's pretty hard to look past that because it was just so heartbreaking. It was 3 minutes of just your so much empathy pouring out of everyone's heart, going, "Oh, I can't believe he's stuck there."
I mean, I know that him being stuck lost the game, but I'm still going to say that Navi should have won that game because Griffin magically bounced 2 shells off the Batchet armor. Like, come on, dude, you don't just bounce 2 shells off the Batchet armor. Like there's 2 shells bounced from him. Like one of what's his name, Anatolich, and one of Strike bounces, and he was a 2-shot around the 2-shot, a little bit lower as well. So he bounces those 2 shots. Anatolich tries up to make another shot, and Apoel kills him. If the shells connect, then Apoel is alone versus 3 guys, and he loses the game always. Now, of course, it's a lot more heartbreaking because you could say like Apoel's reasoning was very simple. Like if you wonder why he dropped, it's like he doesn't know exactly how much shells Inspirer has. He knows he fired 1 on him. That's all he's sure of. And Inspirer fired 1 shell. So in Apoel's mind, he's a 3-shot and Griffin's a 1-shot. So what Apoel thinks is if he dies like to his 3 shells from Inspirer before Griffin gets there, he could kill Apoel and then have 1 more shell for Griffin, and then it's a 1-on-1 where Inspirer has the HP advantage. That's why he chopped. He did try to turn last second. I mean, there's that, but
I don't think there's a question about why he dropped it. Like it was 100% the correct decision, but I mean,
there's a lot of people that said that he should have stayed because he was almost a free though, but I don't agree with that.
No, of course not. He should have dropped. But like, I mean, it's kind of his fault if he doesn't know that he can get stuck there. Then.
Well, the thing is,
or if it was a risk he was willing to take by dropping at that point, maybe like thinking that he could maneuver on the way down.
Yeah, he was trying to turn away from it, but he just got dragged down. It was funny though. Like I was really hoping that there was no way out. Like like after because at that time I know he wasn't going to get out anymore. Too much stress is not going to happen. And I was really hoping that nobody after found a way out until that guy came out with the first try.
And then there were the Russians that...
Yeah, I also tested it. It's like literally in 1 minute, 1.5 minutes you can get out of that position without any issues.
You just have to use the handbrake, which he didn't think about probably. I mean, I don't think any of us would have thought about like using the handbrake to maneuver ourselves around the rock if we've never done it before.
Yeah, you have to you're there on stage, final match. 75k, you're like fully focused. You're not gonna think about everything like this.
Yeah.
And that guy just came up with it after the game, and yeah, bad
I
luck.
saw a lot of matches where you saw players though playing with the handbrake for not any strategic reason. They were just looking really good, just getting behind a building and there's no
Of
tank
course,
spotting
like
them. It's
180, you know.
So right now, I guess it's still maybe handbrake is kind of just a
Show off.
stylistic thing. People are
Yeah.
starting to use it though. I mean, I
We've
did.
seen
Did
a
you
lot.
guys see any tactical uses of handbrake? I mean,
Not really.
The only
Yeah,
real tactical
you can
use.
see it on Himmelsorf though. Like on Himmelsorf, pushing the 1-2 line and then
Yeah.
standing behind it, like behind the tower. It just it's usually the Batcher just using the handbrake. Like he turns in half a second and he's pointing his gun to the to the street where someone's usually gonna peek at. So that's like the only use. But Batcher's gonna be there first anyway. He has like 10 seconds to turn around if he wants to.
But
right.
the only real use for a handbrake, like in a real situation, combat situation, is if you're playing batshot v batshot and you're like 15 meters away from each other. And you need to quickly outturn the other guy to keep up with the vertical. That's about the real use for handbrake. I mean,
No, come on. It makes you look good. You got to look
Yeah.
good. You know, confidence. Don't forget about confidence, man.
And the
When
When
drift,
you're just power sliding around a corner, just feeling really good.
oh, I see what you did there. Power
Yeah.
sliding around the corners.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Get those racing
Wow.
stripes going, you know. I mean, they gotta get special camo for that so you can
I mean-
really role play.
I mean, Sly drives a Honda Civic with like racing straps on it as well, I think, and some stickers. So he probably feels pretty common with handbrakes, you know. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this is like real life. I just hope Apwa doesn't get blamed too much, because you know, like, he is really good. He is really, really good. He's top 5 players of the world easily.
If he wasn't there, they wouldn't even be in that decider match. I mean, they would have lost 2 games before that.
yeah, just looking at like also Apple WoW, even though they lost, he's one of the MVPs. With his 1v3 clutch on Ghost Town, it's like, how did he even win that? I have no clue. He had not a lot of time. 1v3 on Ghost Town against Navi, and he just wins it. Like it was easy.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, he played it really well. It looked easy, but it's not always that easy, like it seems. And that's touching on the next topic, like MVP players. Like for me, it's always like Slide and Apple WoW because they're really good. I'm thinking of who else played that I paid attention to. Like for Navi, it's always the same. Like I think Slide always does a lot of work in his Waffentrigger. Then Apple WoW. Didn't really pay attention. Well, Durs had that one really, really big game with 6k damage, which I still don't know how he got 6k damage, but there's that. But for MVP players, I'd probably go like Slide and well.
I mean, it's the thing about the Russian teams, right? That like none of the 7 players, all the top 4 Russian teams ever fails. They are like so close to each other in skill and can't really point out single players often. Like, I mean, of course you have Slide and like Apple WoW, people like that can carry games, but it's basically like all of them, if they're in that situation, could do the same. It's hard to pick out MVPs, in my opinion.
I mean, when the teams are functioning well, it's whoever makes that really awesome play that gets the camera on them, right? I mean, there's just so much stuff that you see going on and so many interactions that are not, worthy to talk about, but, there's just really, really solid play coming out there. It's really hard for me to judge who the best or the MVP is.
Who do you think is the MVP from the NA players? Like, who do you think was the best NA player?
I didn't get to pick apart all of the Eclipse matches, but I knew there was a lot of they came prepared, but there was a lot of stress among them, and I knew a couple of them kept a more level head than the others. So I guess I'm going to give it to.
It's not that hard when you're put on this. It's not that easy when you're put on the spot.
No, it's not. It's not. Adroxus beat himself up over a couple of things, but I liked his play in general when we were playing. And then there's so many. It's just pick one. It's so hard. I just got all. So like, Drynets did better than I expected him to because he wasn't planning on being on the team. So and of course I'm just now excluding the Eclipse players. I'm just thinking about the Simp guys, but Rude did pretty good. I'm just gonna name everyone on the team now. So you guys got to give me an opinion on the NAs. Who do you think was the best NA player there?
Did anyone watch the NA games? Like, I'm not.
Oh.
Oh, that's why you're digging into it.
Lapse.
Nobody else knows. Literally a vacuum of knowledge.
Lapse, you obviously know who I'm gonna give the MVP to. Not even a question, you know. I have to give it to anybody. I'm gonna have to give it to Lapse. Fill in.
I don't know who you're gonna give it
Damn
to.
it, man. My ex-teammate, obviously.
Oh, you're gonna give it to Ox Mathis.
I have to. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, we borrowed Ox Mathis, the one player that we brought that wasn't on our team in the last finals, to the finals with us. He practiced all the way with us, and yeah, he held his own. That's for sure. But he didn't get a one-shot any tings in an artillery, so can't really show off his real artillery talents there, can we?
I was gonna ask who were the MVP players from Penta, but I remembered they weren't there. Well, I mean, they were in the audience, you know, like they were watching.
We were there. 5 guys or something. There was
Well,
5 Penta guys.
I have to say, Penta has improved. The last grand finals, they weren't there. Now they're in the audience. Maybe next year they'll be playing. You know, one step at a time. That's one step at a time.
3rd seed, you know.
I just remember something funny though. I remember I also once played a 1v1 against Apoa on Cliff, but the other thing is that I lost.
Yeah, you did it like an idiot move.
What? No.
He didn't get stuck at that time, so.
Penta, you guys were in the audience. Did you? They had those bracelets that I don't know how much money they must have spent on those things, but they had those color changing bracelets that would
radio
light
control.
up.
Yeah. I mean,
and then they would do all kinds of designs. It had this really elaborate controller, man. That was.
I mean, it's not that expensive because you only need like a receiver on the bracelets. You know, like it's a normal bracelet with a receiver. You know, like the receiver dedicates what colors it shines. Like the receiver is pretty basic, but the control unit is probably pretty expensive. But the bracelet itself.
Did they pan over the audience and show that a lot? Because it was pretty impressive in person. You're backstage and you see the audience, and just they flash in colors and it's doing.
It didn't show the audience that much, but sometimes it did show the.
Melly was in the in the room like when the guy was doing it. She actually like turned on the blue, no, the red one, and like the whole audience was like flashing red, and that's like the moment when they showed it.
It was pretty cool, and they were handing them out to everyone. They only worked in that area. The controller that interacted with it was only on the stage because I had like one backstage and it never did anything the whole time. It was just a localized controller. So,
well, I mean, it's grand finals. They have money to spare, you know. I just wonder how much those jugglers costed because they were really amazing. They had my attention to full. I was so sad on day 2 and the jugglers were gone. Where did the jugglers go?
With the spinny things too, with the team names.
I don't know, man. It looked kind of silly, you know what I mean? Like on a stage like that,
have
like
two
had
jugglers. Flags and like paraded a flag around the stage, but no, those guys spinning those things. I was like,
screens,
that says Simp on it. That's pretty cool.
It was like hard to see though at some times, you know what was on it.
It had to be a lot bigger if they wanted to show it off. Like, I mean, I could recognize it was the logos, but it has to be a lot bigger to make it really cool.
Or they'd have to have the cameraman right next to him. I mean, when we were standing 5 feet away, it looked really cool. But yeah, when they were zoomed out, from...
It looked really small. Like, you could see it, like, passing by. Oh, that's the logo. And then now it's gone. Anything else about Grand Finals?
Someone in chat right now, shots fired. At least the analyzing desk was much better this year than last year. Just saying, one guy was removed. What's that one?
Who was at the desk last year? I don't remember.
You're talking about the English broadcast or the RU broadcast?
English.
Clutch? Was Clutch there last year?
Clutch was there, Ducky was there, and Mojo was there, if I'm right.
Yeah.
I remember Zoid Bergenstein being on stage too. Did they put new players on stage this time for commenting?
Nope.
I mean, the desk last year was pretty great. This year we had Raven talking about Navi as a relaxed team, Like, they never, like, scream at each other. Yeah, Raven. Navi never screams at each other. It's the only thing Anatolich does. Scream.
5 minutes later. And you
Edson, have
you
you
scream.
listened to the WJR or you stream and heard how Anatolich is always shouting?
No, I'm not.
He is literally, if you listen
Yeah,
to the
that's
stream,
he's going
he's
insane.
literally shouting 24/7.
Like, I mean, there's nothing
24/7.
happening in the game, and he's shouting
Yeah.
like they were in the biggest brawl ever. Like,
That's
it's
why
crazy.
it was so funny to hear Raven say Navi is a cool-headed team, because if you ever listen to the streams, they have never been cool-headed. Anatolich, I remember at the first grand finals, he broke the desk by beating
Wow.
it so hard with Unity. Yeah, he beat the desk so hard there was like a hole in it from his fist because he was so mad and he was playing with Unity still.
Wow. Okay, guys, like, I really, like, I don't know if you talked about this while I was dead. But I'm like, think a lot of people, me myself included, are really interested to like hear what are your team's plans? Like now after the grand finals over, we're all basically waiting for the next season to start, right? So like, what are your plans in between? How are you going to prepare? Are you like changing some? Are you changing the rosters a bit or completely, or what's going on there? Like basically for everyone, for Ding, for Penta, for Kazna, and for Simp.
Who wants to start first? Dead zone. Lapse is pointing at you, so
Oh, I cannot see that.
well, I can see it on my screen.
Am I pointing at Ducky right now?
No, you're
Or is it
pointing
that
at now you're pointing at me. Lapse, you're
Okay,
pointing
yeah.
at banners. But for Ding, it's pretty easy. Like we knew for a long time that Wombats was done. Like we knew they were gonna play grand finals together, which is obvious. But after that, they would like split up. Everybody would go their own way. And I know Break going for a long time, and he's like really insanely good. He knows all these boosts on mines out of his head, and it's impressive. He never fails them. Really nice to see. Just in general, like a really good player. Like when we played with him against Utopia, he was already doing what he does best, like top damage. Like, he's just a really experienced player. He's pretty young though, but he has so much experience. He like perfectly. And I think that's
Still no problem, yeah.
I think that's the plan for now. Like just Break replacing
Getting carried by
international-
Breaknik.
Yeah,
all the way
break,
through.
break replacing international and Baraka's revert for now.
You know, in the North American scene, between all of these events, teams fall apart because people are moving on to other things. People lose interest in it, and you know the people that are around the whole for the long haul just kind of wait for everything to fall apart and then just pick up the good pieces they want. So now it's like scouting season. So you know, there's always there's never really brutal departures. You know, where people leave abruptly. It's much more of, you know, oh guys, I'm not going to be able to do this next season, so you're going to have to find a replacement for me. And then it's just, you know, observation season. See which teams are falling apart and how you can pick out their nice players.
Lapse, is this
About, yeah, brutal. You know, people leaving your team last second. I know some guy. He went to NA actually. Was like our team leader, you know, field commanding and everything. And then, you know, a week before the season, he just decided to leave and went to NA. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but he's in the Skype call.
Stefan, why would you do such a thing? Come on, Stefan, what's wrong with you, man? Stefan, what do you have to say to this ruthless accusation from the Dead Zone?
These brutal attacks.
He's the mainstream media, man. They're all after Ducky. It's just
Yeah.
all big conspiracy, man. Especially the NA. Anyway, Stefan, anything going on with Kazna? Or are you not allowed to talk about it? Is it like all hush hush, or?
I mean, we were playing Major League now, and we won the first 4 or 5, I think it was 4 matches. So we're doing kind of fine, and we'll see now when we play against like the really good European teams like Ding, Penta, Utopia and stuff, how we perform, and then we'll decide if we need to change stuff. But I mean, just the grand finals, I don't think that we can, how to say it, take much out of that in terms that we lost because of certain persons. So I don't know, we just, when it came down to it, we played bad as a team. So
Lapse, one thing though, I always in NA, like maybe not in the the top teams, like the top three. It always seemed like a lot of teams were going out and in. You know what I mean? Like rotation. Like team that was in last season would be out next season. Like the top six, like the 6 to 12 always used to change a lot. Like from my opinion, like the teams that were in that were out, and it also seemed like a lot of roster changes in between. Maybe like not the top three, but in between like 3 to 12, it always seemed like massive shuffles going on. Like people joining one team and then going to the next team, and then 3 weeks later they're in another team. I don't know. It's like I've never seen that in like I don't pay that much attention, but like I didn't see that much in other regions. Wondering if it was like in any.
I definitely think it's an NA thing, and I think it's kind of a community development thing. With a lower population of players, you have to do more work to keep a functioning team together. And so, yeah, there's a couple of high-end teams that have been there the whole time that can maintain an image, but a lot of the other teams have to grab other players and make a team together. So the name changes a lot. I mean, even Simp, we only had one player from the team that went to the first Global Grand Finals that went back with us on the third Global Grand Finals. That was Adroxus. And Simp, you joined the other half of the guys that left Simp. So when Simp split in half and formed High Voltage and kept Team Simp, and we picked up the Hammer Time guys and made a whole new team. I mean, this kind of consistent change is just standard in the lower population, and you even find it worse on the Asian servers as well, where the populations are lower. So
anything specific you can tell us about Simp? Maybe? No?
Well, I mean, what we're going to do specifically, I can tell you that right now, all the guys are in a pretty good mood and they're pretty happy with their performance, and I don't see a lot of drama developing, so we're probably going to look the same for next season. And right now, it's definitely relax for at least a week, and we'll talk about practice and scrimmaging and other things here shortly. So right now, it's rest time.
Yeah. Well, you deserved it. You almost upset at the Ducky's predictions. He was salty. He was salty.
I was really salty because I had everything right up until that point. It's only
Yeah,
like
but it was like it's really close.
Oh, if we had won that, I mean, we were already getting a lot of compliments backstage. Like we had no idea you guys were capable of that. That was pretty impressive. And if we had won that, it would have been, oh, wow, North America has developed to compete on the global stage.
But now we get to make fun of you for another year.
That's why I'm here, to take all the brutal hits and allegations. Gotta protect the players.
I mean, it's like an CSGO, NA Molly, NA Play.
NA, yeah, everything's NA. Dead Zone, anything going on with Penta?
Yeah, roster changes will be made. Don't know specifics yet. Just testing people and seeing what works out better and what doesn't.
So you're actually like just want to swap people out. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we want to swap a couple people out. We got some people going, less active because, like Lapse said, they're not interested in the game anymore or esports, and some people want to dedicate more time to it, so they will be picked above them.
Yeah, not everyone that gets into esports has the same idea of what it is. So, you get a lot of people with really weird expectations that, super commit. They make their promise, they do the work, they get to an event, and then they get done with the event and they go, I like doing other things in my life better, So that happens, and that happens in all regions. It happens more in the lower server populations, though, because you have less people to... Navi and all those other guys get to sort out all those people from the masses, whereas, they sneak into all these lower pop server teams, so.
Yeah, so I guess that's about it for the next season. Okay, so we can actually take the questions from there was only one guy that asked the question. I was expecting at least 4 or 5 different people, but there was one guy, Russell. He had 2 questions. The first question was, what are the pre-match rituals for that the teams go through? So basically, Oh, some of the teams have probably something they do before every game out of superstition, or I don't know.
Well, I can tell you that if you're a Chinese team, you definitely go out and smoke at least 2 cigarettes before each match.
I remember that at WCA they even took a smoke break in our match. So like they're all gonna go smoke. Oh, well, I'm gonna go smoke as well.
That is a smoking culture, man. We were at the event and there was no designated smoking area, so they just there was a back door that got open and it wasn't really intended to be open, so they just propped it open. And all the Chinese teams with their handlers and stuff were all out there before the match getting and I walked by and said, I want a full investigation into this nicotine doping, and everyone looked at me like, quit joking around.
Well,
We're trying to get ready.
For Penta, we actually got a really special ritual. We're watching Just Do It. With everyone just full on TeamSpeak, everybody's listening, and then after that game, we're ready to throw the next game.
Just do it. Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, I hope you're not talking about winning because then you're watching the wrong video. You know what I mean? It's not been working out.
Well, I'm sure Docky doesn't want to reveal it himself, so I do it for him. Docky is.
I was going to say it. But
you
go ahead.
You were going to admit your addiction.
My
Docky is
addiction.
horribly addicted to the. Here, fill me in.
I listen to like In Time from Interstellar and the main team like for an hour before the match starts, and I just sit there and don't even talk to me. I'm just gonna listen to the song.
And the thing about it is, he only listens through it like twice because it's a 30-minute song. But no,
Yeah.
that's Docky. If you guys haven't, it's the Interstellar soundtrack, the motion picture, and it's pretty awesome organ music. But that's Docky's ritual, and music is definitely a thing that a lot of other teams do. Even the Chinese teams, I saw a lot of guys with earbuds, and I assume they're listening to something. A lot of the guys on my team will pull out their phone, put in their own earbuds, and listen to a song just for a couple minutes.
I mean, it's like routine, If you do it like on every LAN before you start a match, you listen to the thing. It's about getting in the routine of playing, when you're ready for the next match, or you just want to relax before the match starts. I mean, I think everybody has something like that thingy. Petzo from Kazna has that poker chip or whatever it's called that he always spins around. You know what I mean, right, Stefan?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he always like how do you say it? Like he makes it spin in circles. Yeah. I mean that's his way to stay relaxed, I guess.
A lot of the Simp guys that, a couple hours before really, really, really want to play pub matches in a platoon, they like to do that. Just makes them feel at home again.
Like, dude, why is it that most of the players is it because of the pressure, to relieve some of the pressure, or to get in the zone, to get concentrated? Like, is the audience kind of the whole ambient, is it kind of weird to you, so you have to do something to make you feel more relaxed, or is it just the thing that you do even at home?
I mean, the butterflies in the stomach. A lot of these guys don't do that stuff at home. A lot of it, I would say, is suppressing the butterflies that are in your stomach. A lot of guys are just trying to make sure that nothing's going to get in the way of their performance because they know what they need to do. They've done that a lot, and so they'll go use the bathroom. They'll get everything else out of the way and then listen to something that clears their mind so that they're not in that place. They're trying to be in the place where they're at home because most of the time you're playing this game and you're playing well at the comfort of your home computer. And then you're at a live finals and you just kind of want to forget about everything else. So usually it's just give me my own space.
For me, it's usually like it doesn't matter online match or offline match. I'll still listen to like Interstellar, probably before the match starts. I remember during the entire NA finals, like you can even on the Plays.tv thingy, like if you anybody watch that, you can even hear during one of the matches because they were uploaded from POV, and I'm still listening during the Interstellar song even though we're playing already on the map.
I assume you're listening to that in your car all the time too. It's more of an addiction for you than anything.
I don't need a car. I drive everywhere on my bicycle. I'm too cheap to buy a car, man. You know how much car costs? Jesus Christ.
You're talking to an American here. In America, you can't do anything without a car because we don't have public transit. So
for me, it's like 5 minutes to the bus. So I don't need a car.
Bus, public transit, man. What kind of utopia do you live in?
The one of
I go to school by a boat.
free education and social welfare and like all that kind of fun stuff. That's what goes. It's called Europe.
You were saying Dead Zone.
Here's to school
Yeah,
by a
I'm going
boat.
to school by a boat. Yeah. How about
Really?
that? That's pure Dutch. It may seem weird, but just up the river with a boat and straight to school.
Dude, like I've been watching this Stefan GIF for like an hour now, and it's getting really. It's like
Yeah.
I'm getting hypnotized. I'm just watching Stefan over and over. It's Jesus Christ.
About him, man, just doing that.
I could just imagine sitting Stefan in his room and doing exactly the same move with his stomach. Oh, I'm sorry, Stefan. Hey, Stefan, what is your pre-game ritual?
Like I was listening to like, you guys talking about that shit, and I was like, is it weird that I have like nothing special I do before the game? Like I don't know. I don't have any ritual. Like I'm just waiting and then playing. Don't know why I did this. Or
But it depends for every player personal. Some players need it, some players don't. Really depends on what kind of player you are.
yeah, I can't remember of anything specific I would do more than
I-
once before the game or something.
I know what you do before the game. Usually, you smile at the camera and then put a thumbs up to entertain the crowd. You know what I mean?
Mate, like I was just maybe that camera is live and it would look cool now if I would do that. And then I watched the stream and it was actually on stream. It was actually pretty cool.
Oh, such a cutie, dude. Such a cute. Lapse, if you want, we can send you Stefan for a discounted price of $49.99. You call now.
Europeans suggesting human trafficking. That's not new.
Wow. Ooh.
Whoa.
That's mostly reserved for my region, the Southeast Europe. So
Is that a Serbian specialty?
Every time.
leave the Dutchies and Belgians.
Every time his internet drops, it's just his neighbor stealing it, like plugging out the cable.
Probably.
No, I will say this though about pre-game rituals. As I notice, it tends to be the person's personality a little bit exaggerated. So if they're an extrovert, they'll generally try and have a conversation, talk a lot. If they're an introvert, they're just trying to focus, in on themselves. So it's kind of just, I find most people is just getting centered, and making sure that you don't want to get distracted, and the hype, the environment, the atmosphere can really put you in a different mood than when you're trying to perform. It's like a musician in front of a musician doesn't need to go to the side and do a special ritual. He just grabs the instrument, and the very act of grabbing the instrument is the pregame ritual. So I don't know, put a mouse in your hand might be the simple answer to that.
It does the trick for Stefan, obviously.
Hmm.
Okay, this is an interesting question. The best person to hang out with across all teams. No, we're excluding Ducky for the purposes of this.
Just want to say, Ducky is never gonna win that.
What do you mean?
For the
I will
purposes
say-
of this discussion, we're not gonna mention Ducky, okay? Ducky is probably like top one, and there's like
I
5
know,
spaces under that are empty, and let's just get it from from the 6th place.
So I think Overlord Prime on my team is the guy I like to hang out with the most. I like to have, when we were at the hotel doing breakfast, the North American teams, we were all chatting on Skype trying to figure out our schedules, and I really liked having breakfast with Brett from Eclipse. Rude Awakening, there's never a dull moment hanging around with him.
Well, for me, it's pretty easy. Always the teams, like in general. Like Dead Zone remembers WCA, where I basically slept on the bed half the time. Did a nice dance in the room as well, which is now on
That's
YouTube.
famous on YouTube, yeah.
Thank you, Dead Zone, for that.
No problem, man.
There's that. So there's like the teams that I always like to hang out with, and person-wise, it's probably like from the teams, probably like Alien, because I get along with Alien pretty well, especially since we also went to WCA together. And PewDiePie on the gift below me, it's called Stefan. Other than that, I don't know, man. I just like like in general on LAN, I usually like everybody there. Doesn't matter if they're Russian or European. As long as like I don't think there's any like bad people or like pure favorites. But if I had to pick two, it'd be
As long as you can communicate English with them and they're on an event, then it's always fun to hang out with them. Like, you obviously cannot hang out with the Chinese guys because they don't understand you, don't understand them. But with the other EU teams and also even the Russian teams, as long as they speak English, it's always cool to hang out with.
Well, I mean, I am on the Cologne LAN, like on this LAN, the last European season LAN. I went to the shisha bar with the entire thing and like a few guys from Wombats, and it was a lot of Russian, but it was still fun. I mean, it was a hell of a lot of Russian, but it was still fun. Yeah, it is definitely a bonus if they speak.
The after party was a lot of fun at the Global Grand Finals this year, and I'm sure you guys saw they had that camera there that was streaming out the pictures. And even there, the volume was so loud, they had a group doing a whole bunch of American pop songs. It was kind of funny. She had super blonde hair, curly, and there's just a whole bunch of energy. So you really couldn't hear anyone talk anyway. So it was actually nice the language barrier wasn't there. And hanging out with the Brazilians was actually pretty nice. Those guys were pretty cordial. You know, we couldn't talk to each other just because it was so loud, but you know, we enjoyed the environment together.
I know that Stefan had a lot of fun at the after party.
Do you remember any of it, Stefan?
No,
Not
at all. Vale just like 5 minutes ago posted me a picture, which I apparently made, and I said I would pick his avatar.
Like Phil when he came on Teams, he was like, "Hello guys, I'm back from Grand Finals. I'm so hungover, man." Pretty much how they all sound.
We
The
did not
party was
sleep a
great.
lot. Also, Stefan, like a question that people wondering, how much DPI do you got, Stefan, and why is your DPI so high?
Stefan always gets upset when I tell him about his DPI being crazy, because everybody remembers the moment against Wombats where they switched to Stefan's POV, and it seemed like he had like the biggest DPI I've ever seen. Like like it was like
I do have really big,
speeds.
of course, really big DPI, but that was like the moment you're talking about on stream against Wombats. Like I don't know why the program was not working, but it doesn't look like that for me. I mean, there was also POVs against Eclipse, I think, from my perspective, and it looks normal there on stream. I mean, I do have like 2100, I think, and compared to every single other guy in my team, it's like when I touch the mouse, like it doesn't do shit, and like. But I mean, I don't know. I got used to it. I guess.
I don't know if there's any correlation between that preference and good play either, because there are people on Simp that have their mice where they have to like move it, meters to get it to
yes.
And then there's other guys that just have it so damn sensitive, they barely even move their hand. And
yeah, exactly.
But of Tanks is the kind of game where it doesn't matter that much. So like in CSGO where you have to flick around and do a 180 and hit somebody behind you, or like spray transfer, you know what I mean? Like World of Tanks is like, it's more like, more a positional game, more, it's not less about aiming. I mean, aiming is a big part, but I mean, there's a lot of people that are just as good as aiming as other people, it's just gonna play by position.
You have 4-9 basically, you're limited by your turret traverse and your tank's traverse and everything, and the aim time, so you kinda have more time to aim.
You can't flick 180 anyways
like,
in World of Tanks, so.
Yeah. Maybe you can now, handbrake, as we were talking about an hour ago.
All the fancy styling, right? Yeah. I mean, I've seen people there that have those monstrous, like square meter mouse pads, and I see people that like have a mouse pad cut in half because they're just like, I don't need it. Just I want to carry a small thing around. It's like, guys.
Yeah, when I see people play with those small hard pads, like the really small ones, I'm like, how do you do it? Because I don't understand.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a really small mouse pad because I don't have enough room for anything bigger than that, and I also am used to a bigger DPI. And okay, not as huge as Stefan. I was watching that and I freaked out. Yeah, I literally.
That DPI from the game against Wombats, it was that program that recorded as fucked up. It doesn't look like that for me. I'm just not moving my mouse at all, so it basically comes down to the same. Like, at least how it looks on stream and for me also.
Yeah, but I hope that's like, because I literally know what just happened. Like, how did you control that? Like, how did you like turn like 2 circles around yourself? Like, that was, yeah, that was really weird.
We had Lapse just mimic Denzo's movement. High five, Lapse. High five. Virtual high five. I think we should touch on the next question. Well, Wombats and Tornado Rocks to RU. Well, we both know that Wombats isn't going to RU since they disbanded, and half of them went to Rocks. Them going to RU though, I mean, the thing is, RU is really competitive. Like, I'm gonna use Kazna as example, right? Kazna is probably the best or one of the best European teams, right? That have no Russians or whatever in them, right? When they play against Russian teams, sometimes like Wombats, they manage to put up a good fight and should have won, you know. But Wombats is classed as one of the, like, if you speak to, I spoke to Slide at WCA, and if you speak to them, they always say that Wombats was one of the weaker Russian teams. Like, they said that they were not that good. They said that Penta should have won them at WCA, that kind of stuff. And if Kazna, like, they played Navi twice and it's twice 5-0 now, and they're one of the better European teams. I imagine, I don't know how it will go if they play against Hellraisers, but they get that kind of score lines against Navi. And other teams in the Russian league manage to take 2 rounds from them, 3 rounds from them, 4 down rounds from them, and just like says how competitive that entire league is. You know? So I'm not sure what I can expect from Tornado Rocks in the Russian league. I think they'll be really good, but I think they'll have a lot closer performances than they did in EU. You know? Like, I think RU is a lot more competitive than EU, and they'll be losing a lot more rounds, which they're not used to.
Because we're talking about drugs at the moment, is it true, like some guy in chat told me 20 minutes ago, that Hellraisers kicked Monty, and
Yes.
that Diador is
Yes.
going to Hellraisers? Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true. Monty got kicked after last grand finals.
But Monty played decent on the grand finals. I mean, not decent, he was actually good.
Yeah, you won WCA with them, grand finals with them, the last grand finals second here.
Because like the grand finals now, he was just, I don't know, he played good. Was it like something they decided on before, or just at the grand final?
But you have to imagine, players don't always get cut because of performance reasons. You know? Like, we don't know what's going on in Hellraisers. For all we know, he was cut for professional reasons, not putting enough time, not getting along with the team anymore. You know, it doesn't have to be purely performance related. He might not fit in the team anymore. He might not like put in the time. They might not synergize well anymore. They might like need to change. Like, they might think that their performance could be a lot better if they bring Diader back, for example. You know, you can't say exactly what's going on.
There's no point in guessing on why a player leaves or moves on. You'd never know if it's a team decision, a mutual decision, or a player decision either. It's speculation's fun, but trying to pin that down. Even teams don't know why individual people leave sometimes. Because not everyone on the team is always talking to everyone on the team. There can be little factions in a team that push for something to happen because it needs to, and then the other people just like, oh, I guess it happened. We're talking about 10 people here, 8 to 10, or maybe 15 soon.
Yeah, Shockish actually saying that it was decided long before the grand finals. So there's people that know.
It was decided long before grand finals.
It was actually decided long before. Yeah.
I knew Break was gonna join for Ding, like I said, 2 months or something. Like, I knew. Well, I mean, they're professional enough because they make their living out of it to like not let the fact that they're gonna disband after influence their performance, since they still took third. That they're that professional at it, but they didn't want to play in RU. It seems like so. Like, I know a lot of them wanted to stay in the EU, and I guess the team in general didn't think that they would be competitive enough, right? I guess on RU to put it as a team and be successful,
Also, Stefan, you're being called out right now by Oliver, so by
Oli, yeah.
Lauder.
Wait, why am I?
Yeah, saying it's not a program, it's recording your stream exactly. Don't lie to us.
No, it doesn't look that stupid. I refuse to believe that.
I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe. I mean, Ollie should know how the program works. So I mean, like,
It's literally
you know,
a screen recorder.
He
That's
made
all.
it, man.
I don't care.
like the way the program works is it just transfers your literally everything you're doing onto the stream.
Maybe
so.
maybe it was bugged because I used it SteelSeries engine or some stuff. I don't know, but it does not look like that for me.
So, did you guys see the interview with Mo about them wanting to test out and move towards
Yeah.
15v15?
I did see it. I mean,
I did see. I didn't understand the thing, so I just saw it. That's the.
it's like
Go ahead.
it's like I'm not for or against. Like I just see a huge amount of like infrastructural problems, management problems, prize money problems. I mean, I know prize money shouldn't be the main motivation, but if you want to have the top level competitive, you need to make it so they want to play. You know, if it's not rewarding, top players are not going to play.
I mean, I guess I view this as, all of the people who are playing this game and learning about this game, they move up through, they get their tier 1, they move to their tier 10, and they want that tier 10 combat. And then it's like, well, what's the next step? The logical answer in their head is clan wars, and unfortunately, clan wars is just a mechanism to distribute gold to clans. It doesn't appear to be anything else. It's just how do we cut this pie up? And so it doesn't really represent the end game. And then they look and they go, okay, well, I guess there's some tournaments over here. I'll play with my tier 4s again. And then they look at the pro league and they go, well, why are you playing with half a team? So to me, it's just like, we're wearing the wrong size pants with our current league, and the 15 versus 15 is logical. But I mean, the logistics of flying out and trying to maintain a team of 15. And by the way, when you go to 15, just from a human perspective, I mean, right now, 7 people, you need 1 or 2 substitutes. You're going to need more substitutes. So you're going to
4 or
need like
5,
18
yeah.
people to keep a team functional.
It's going to be really hard to like organize trainings as well, because like a lot of people,
Yeah.
like I don't know, like for NA and I guess I can speak for NA and for EU. Like a lot of those players, they have jobs, they have school, they have places they need to be. Like. And if you have 15 people and you need to organize a training with them, then it's going to be a lot of, swapping around, and then you're going to get to the point like who's going to play in the actual match, because that person wasn't there on X day, that person wasn't there on X day. And one of the next issues I see is like when you have a lot of substitutes and you're swapping around, like even in 7v7, if you have subs that stand in for your main players, there's always a cohesion thing, like a team synergy thing. That just changes the dynamic of a team, like bringing in another player. It just, I guess Lapse can say with Ox, it probably brought a different dynamic to the team. Some things were different. The way communication was a little bit different. Like they need to adapt as well.
I mean, it certainly changes the whole nature of it. And, even a soccer team, football, 11 players on the field, right?
Yeah.
So it's completely doable. It's not like it's impossible for humans to play in a coordinated way at that level, but it's definitely gonna. I mean, I don't even know who Navi would combine with to make a 15 versus 15 team.
Hellraisers?
I mean, Hellraisers is the most obvious thing.
But
Good luck beating that.
those groups are so functional the way they exist, and we're talking about an entirely different play style, entirely different play structure. We're talking about entirely different group dynamics, and I'm not sure that those strong players can actually all function together.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they could do. I don't know. Do they do clan wars together?
Well, there was this. I don't know if it's disbanded now, but there was this big
It's
clan
disbanded,
in Korm, and I've heard rumors about them restarting that. Which is a famous Russian clan, right? And a lot of the top players are in there, so they have experience playing together. Like they could probably Navi could probably pick 8 guys from there that they played together with before in clan wars or something, and make a 15v15 team. The issue I see is that, like I said, if you have about the cohesion, if you have a 15v15 team, you know that in a 7v7 team, even in a 7v7 team, you have groups sometimes. Like these people hang out with these people, these people hang out with those people. Like it's not because they play together that they're always the best of friends. Like they might like each other, but like other than trainings and stuff, they don't feel like they want to spend more time together. They'd rather do that with the other guys from the team. Now, if you go to 15v15, I feel like you're going to be creating teams that some players don't even know each other. They're just going to be playing together, and it's going to require a lot of time before they Like, if they're not going to be playing together with the player outside of trainings, they will never also really know, unless you're trained 6 hours a day, they will not know how a person reacts in certain situations. So you're going to be creating a lot of, like, I don't know, like in 15v15, like, I feel like there'll be less cohesion, less team synergy, and a little bit more chaos than in 7v7.
Certainly, it's going to be a lot more chaos. It's also going to be a lot more epic because the tank battles that will come out of that. I mean, just knowing what's possible with 6 autoloaders and some heavy tanks. I mean, that's going to create something that's a spectacle to watch. Because right now, essentially, we were watching the end game of that, right? So when we get to 15 versus 15. It's gonna be that first duke out, and then it's always gonna be who's gonna win the mop up, right? I don't expect it to be complete blowouts, and it's just basically gonna add a little more, development to the game. Actually watching it, there'll be 2 different phases. The mop up and the brawl.
I just feel like
Because he's... Yeah, because you go.
no, go first, Stefan. Go first.
No, just because he said it will be more epic, like... I disagree, I don't think that just because there's more tanks and more people shooting each other, it's gonna be more epic. Like, the biggest thing I don't like about 15 versus 15 is that, like, the individual skill and, like, sometimes, like, the one-on-ones you have on some certain points on the map will just, like, not matter that much at all anymore. It will be just, like, which team can, I don't know, push 9 guys with their 12 at some place, and then, like... I don't know. I don't think that's...
Excuse the American in me, but I mean, it's going to be a lot more like American football, right?
More
it's
explosions, man. It's just more explosions.
I mean, when we won't be giving everyone concussions, it'll be a lot more like American football, where you can draw lines and you can say this is what was happening. You'd actually telestrate the thing versus just 7 individual points. People can follow what's happening with 7 individual points, and yeah, when you get 5v5, it's a little difficult to follow a 10 combat. But if you've got 30 players on the field, you're going to have fronts forming, you're going to have tactical things playing out real quick. You're going to have a much broader, I just say story arc. You'll be able to say this match was about them encircling them. That right now that doesn't happen. I could think of, Prokhorovka, somebody saying we're going to, really take the East and also hold the West hard enough. I don't know. It could add more. I understand not more epic, but more complicated.
I just feel like if you bring out 15v15, like, it's gonna look a lot more chaotic though. Even though it might look more epic, it's gonna be a lot of smaller skirmishes. You're gonna need a lot more spectators to begin with. Like, 2 spectators is probably not gonna cut it because there's a lot of action gonna be everywhere around the map. And I played a lot of 15v15, and player skill is like one of the not important things at all. If you play 50v15, one player is not going to make a big difference. Like, you have 15 good players, like, the one guy is not going to make the difference. Because if he's fighting 3 100s, he's going to die, even no matter how good he is. While in 7v7, he'd be fighting one-on-one, for example, and be able to outplay him. The next thing is...
You may have room for non-player strategists. I mean, right now, there's plenty of strategists in clan wars and clans for people that cook stuff up that works great. And, I mean, you're going to need a lot more strategy in a big match like that, because you're right.
It's what I've also been doing before I did 7v7, like did clan wars before that. The thing is, like, you can outplay an enemy in 7v7. You can't really, like, with the way the maps are, you can't really outplay an enemy directly with tactics unless you do the Navi thing on Morovanka and you up less than a minute. But in 15v15, like, you can start off with a tactic that is just so superior of the enemy's tactic. Like you might, like, they might do one thing and you have a tactic that is so much superior than theirs, and they will never be able to come back because the tactical superiority, like on a map of mines, for example, if you have a better tactic than them, you're hands down going to absolutely smash them. Not even going to be close. That's the next point though. I feel like a lot of maps, or 15v15, not suitable either. Like, there's a lot of 7v7, like, there's a lot of maps that are not suitable for 7v7. There's a lot of maps that are not suitable for 15v15, and that will provide boring gameplay. There's a lot of those maps where E100s will be dominant. Like I know people want tank variety, but if you go to 15v15, you're gonna see a lot of 113s, E100s, E3s.
And that's the thing, is I think
like
the only thing that would help
standard.
that. I think the only thing that would help that would be fog of war.
Oh please, no
No,
fog
then
of
it
war.
will be even slower if it's fog of war.
Fog of
Then
war.
you fucking
The
don't
issue-
do anything. each team picks 2 artists and then you spot the first enemy.
That's the issue with Fog of War is if I'm making a tactic right and there's Fog of War, I'm going to play less aggressive because I want to see what they are doing before I make my move, because I'm not going to make a decisive move if I'm not sure what lineup they have. It's like I'm not going to go fight on the hill on mines if they have like 7 bat shots, you know? Like
No, I totally get it. There's definitely some challenges, and obviously some of the base stuff is, the game doesn't have the ability to put 4 observers in with 30 people right now. So there's clearly some technical issues they need to work out, and there's just too much gravity here. There's the core of this game, and the core of this game is sucking in clan wars, and it's sucking in esports, and it's sucking in tournaments, and they're all going to get smashed together to be the same thing. And right now we've got so many different distractions for players. We've got so many different ways that they can earn gold, play the game, and we don't need domination mode anymore. We need them to spend their energy on making the esport also a weekly tournament.
They could start by fixing strongholds, Like they could keep the lot. They could have a massive influence on players
for
Clan Wars by fixing strongholds. Like
strongholds and team battles need to be merged.
Strongholds are the stronghold is the most cruelly speaking worst design I've ever seen in my life. Sorry to say, but it's badly developed for something that could be so promising. The idea is really good. You fight each other for resources turn into bonus. Bonus turns on, members are happy, members want to play. Now, if you have a defense time from 4 to 5 a.m., that's at night, right, Lapse? AM?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have a defense,
definitely not doing that right now. Definitely not.
If like that's what every clan on this server does. And then there's the next bug where if you said you cease fire day on Saturday, you cannot be attacked on Sunday, which means the weekend is completely useless for any clan. Which basically kills activity. I don't know if you know, but I'm in like one of the best clans on the server on EU, right? And like you said, global map is a gold farm. That's true. And what I was trying to do with my clan is play strongholds. The issue is if there's only like 10 people you can attack on an entire server because everybody else has the defense time on bad times, there's like no point because you're going to be playing the same people over and over. They could start by fixing that. I think if they want to transition to 15v15, they should start by fixing strongholds and maybe a little bit of clan wars, What I saw in the chat is
just going to get sucked into each other is what I'm saying. I don't think there's a choice here for the company. They've branched out, they've tried different things, they failed with Rampage, and they're now looking and going, and this is why Mo gave that interview, is he's like, look, we have all of these different pieces and we just need to combine them all and make them cohesive, make them one thing. And so I think they're going to roll a lot of this stuff into itself, and I'm looking forward to that. I mean, that's what I was reading between the lines on that interview.
I mean, we can speculate a lot and like list up all the problems with it. What would be easier is if like now I feel like them suggesting it might go 15v15 without giving actual info was not the smartest move. I feel like they should have made the announcement when they knew how they were going to deal with the problems, because now you get a lot of like speculations like this is a problem, how are they going to fix it, and you won't get that info for X amount of time, so you're going to be getting those discussions like we had the other day in the Skype chat, between players, like what do they think. But there's no plan of development, I mean? They have no set points. This is how we're going to tackle issue A, this is how we're going to tackle issue B, this is how we're going to fix it or try and fix it, what do you think about it? And I don't think they will come for a long time. I felt like it's something that they should be prepared for, Like I don't like hinting something and then having no concrete, like I didn't want them to roll it out, like I wanted to have at least like a development plan, how they're going to tackle the issue of 15v15.
Yeah, but they didn't give us the picture, like we're doing this because of this and that. Like there wasn't enough explanations going on. Like as Zaki said, like there's just we know that the problems are gonna be this and this. Maybe they won't like figure out all the problems right away. Nobody does, but they should just show that they're aware of the problems. They're gonna try and fix that. They're gonna maybe like test it out like with some pro players, create some in-house tournament of sorts, see how it works out. I mean, there's positive sides to that as well. Like none of you really mentioned that, except Lapse, kind of. Is that it? I understand why they did. At the first moment when I heard that, I was kind of I was triggered. But later on, like when after think about it for like after 5 minutes, you figure that it yes, it's gonna change the scene completely, so that Navi and Hellraisers merging and stuff, that's probably not gonna happen, because some of the players just won't fit in the into hold that thing, and the like a lot of players, we have so many good players, as Labs pointed out, that they're just messing around with tactics and are playing clan wars, and they're not really dabbling into the esports that much, because maybe their personal skill level isn't that high, but they're actually good tacticians, understand the game, and and can do a lot. But like uh you're gonna see a lot of those players and some other players. Like there's good players that are not playing esports but are playing clan wars, and they can be sucked into the whole thing. So it would uh probably increase like the scene. We would have more players, more new players. The problem is just gonna be, you're gonna need more than double of the current player pool to actually be able to even make a pro league. You need 12 teams of 15 players, plus the like it's like 240 players with all the subs, right? Like 240 players on one
Well, you're
server.
just you're just
It's
taking the current league and extrapolating it. But I think Dead Zone wants to talk because he's been getting
I
his
think
phone out
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
limit
yeah.
I
box
think
again.
Deadzone wants to say so.
he was
Deadzone,
blocking.
you have permission to speak. Go ahead, my son.
I've been waiting for this moment for 10 minutes. You just kept talking and talking. Like the 15v15, it requires so much testing still. They talked about it right now. They announced it, but no pro player, or there's not been any test cup for the pro players itself. For us, we've not tested it. On maps. Just how does it feel to play it, the cup, the 15v15 format as a team? How is it? We don't know that
Do,
yet.
but do you not think that Clan Wars has been a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year test of this? I mean,
It's different. Clan Wars is way different.
I feel there's still a
think-
lot of issues
yeah.
with Clan War as well, though. Like,
Yeah, that.
well, I mean, but this is not complete virgin territory for the game, right? This has been happening on the server every night for years,
Well-
so they know that logistically it functions, but you're right, is it going to be entertaining? That's a
The-
separate testing question, right?
the only real test they have done is in an A. I would say like that Clan League thing you guys have going on. Like that's a pretty good test in my opinion. Like, but we haven't had that on you. I don't remember the Lost Clan competition, to be honest.
I that's about the only thing I actually really go out of my way to watch. I actually want to watch that one live. All the other stuff, I'll go watch the the VOD and stuff like that. But I love watching our and it's the clans against each other, and I really enjoy that. If you guys haven't watched that, it's spectacular.
Yeah, that is like that would be a pretty good test. But I don't know, man. It's like sometimes I think about 15v15, and you're right. It touches closer to a lot of players. I just feel like there's going to be the issues of how to set the stage up. There's that. They could work with 2 levels. You know what I mean? They work with 2 levels. I'm sure they have a fix for that. But like, I remember when 742 was here and 754 as well. One of the main complaints was this format. It is the same tank. I'm the same tank, right? Now, if you go to 15v15, you're gonna have that issue again. Some maps you won't, but on some maps you're gonna see one tank predominant, and it's not gonna be fun to watch either. Like maybe a tank limit should be put in place for 15v15, because I know if you play like Himmelsdorf, for example, you can just pick 70 with hundreds, and it's gonna be a really slow game that transitions really slowly. Like that's what I said about maps. Certain maps are just gonna be like. I think now the meta in 768 is pretty fast. I mean, on most maps it's pretty fast. Like even on the maps like Steps where everybody used to camp, the meta is now pretty fast because you can't just defend anymore like you used to be able in 754. Now, if you go to 768, I feel like you're going to be slowing down the game a lot more again. You're going to have either those really long drawn-out battles, very tactically you could say, with like battle lines, like you said, like American football style. You can point out what they're doing, they're drawing battle lines, and then moving from that. or you're going to have the really, really quick games, like for example, your mines for 15 guys just go clash somewhere in the middle. I feel like, I don't know, there should be a good balance between that. Balance of the time of the game, how quick it goes, the pace of the game, and the balance between not making one tank predominant, because I feel this is one of the strengths of 768 until everybody started bringing 6 backshots on Cliff, that we were seeing a lot of different tanks, like a lot of variation, a lot of fun, interesting tactics. Like, I don't want to lose that by just bringing like one dominant tank for each map, because in Clan Wars, you have played it, I have played it, we all know that some tanks are just better than others.
And what I'm hearing here is there's a lot of fine details that you can sort out with little rules, but from my perspective, the large strokes are here. And right now, just the thing that still drives me nuts is that new players band together, they're given tools on how to make a clan and how to play Clan Wars, but no one sits there and gives them any motivation to play our pro sport. So when they come watch our format, we have to explain our format to them. It's going to be so nice if we move to a point where we don't have to explain what we're playing to our viewers.
Yeah, but there's 2 ways of going to that, right? Something that Counter-Strike did, that Valve actually did, and the thing that Wargaming proposes. So I don't see any other possibility of like introducing the players to that without, like, as you said, explaining it. Like, there's rules, there's the max number of, I don't know, tiers you can pick, blah blah blah. There's only 7. There's a lot of weird questions pop up from people just because they don't understand.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the natural advantage of Dota and LoL, is that they don't have to do a darn thing to explain. The viewership
that's true, yeah.
steps right into it. And we need that. We have been paying. Watt has been throwing money all over the place, and we're scraping to educate our viewers. Whereas we could just get past all those barriers and deal with these issues that come out, and we can throw money at those issues instead.
Yeah, do something first and then throw money at the smaller issues. Yeah, I feel you. Like, CS. I don't know if you played like 10 years ago. There was CS 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. It was like basically random games in World of Tanks, right? 16 versus 16 battles, go out and shoot people, and then some clan wars started, like the small esports. And now, with the CS:GO, Valve implemented the ranked system, right? Like where you can play the ranked matches. So that's one way of going at it. But Wargaming like wanted to go the different route. I mean, they're not like, they're just testing it, right? So it's nothing official, but they're wanting to go the different. I think it's actually good to try something out like that. Maybe it's easier. Maybe it's just maybe they find it's going to be more appealing to the people. As you said, we have Clan Wars for 5 years, like 4 years actually. So
my perspective years ago was that the reason why they chose, consumables and converting free experience and people grinding up the tree, but I'm betting their number one income source is premium tanks. And they don't a huge chunk of their money on selling premium tanks. And they're not making a ton of money on other stuff. They're probably making money on selling some, consumables and converting free experience and people grinding up the tree, but I'm betting their number one income source is premium tanks. And they don't sell tier 10 premium tanks. So I understand why they started at 8 and why they thought that was a business model. But now they've started to realize that their whole game is set up. Everybody's motivation when you start playing this game is to unlock tier 10s. And if you get players that, get their first tier 10 and then just play 1,000 battles in some Clan Wars style game, they're going to be motivated to go get that next tier 10. So I think it's just a shift on how they view their monetization, which they're clearly doing better than all the other games at.
The rate was also very accessible, like for player base.
Because you can buy a premium tank, right? I mean, you go play ranked battles,
did you
or
see
whatever it is,
Lapse,
team battles, and it's all premiums.
Did you see the post about the 5-year anniversary with the most played Beat Girls? And if you looked at it, you could see there's a lot of tier 8s in there, and then the IS3. Well, it has like by far the most played.
Right, So it's behind all of this, not from the player perspective. I'm sure Wargaming is making these decisions on a business perspective. And I'm happy that they adventured away from tier 8, and now they've sat there and went, oh god, now that we took one step closer to the giant black hole in the middle of our game, everything's just going to get sucked into it, which is Clan Wars.
Lapse is just pointing out that it was tier 8 because it was more balanced at that time,
more
and
accessible.
people didn't have tier 10s because the esports started.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
You have to imagine that it was still a time before special accounts, before the Pro League, or like you want to call it, the time of like go for bots and stuff. Very beginning of the game.
I think the bat chat was just introduced before the esports actually started, so it was like long time ago.
Tier 9 bat chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, back when you like RT was, what was it again? There were only tier 9 tanks and there was one tier 10.
Tier 8 RT.
Don't reminisce.
The school bus was the dominant RT. The school bus and the S51 dominant esports RT.
And this was before they nerfed the credit making, and Artie got the same credits for the way the tanks dealt damage, and you would pull in 50, 70, 100,000 credits a game easy.
I remember playing SU14 too. I remember playing SU14 too and like one-shotting Ice Force when it came out. It was glorious.
Well, I mean, the original structure of this game, if we're going to go back to that, something that worked well was the very, very old, I think it was called team format, right? No, it was a skirmish, I think it was called. The 100-point...
Tank companies.
Tank companies. Yeah. And it was a 90 points or 100 points, I forget.
But
it had tier 10s, and it had tier 8 artillery, and it was the end game at the time. And so, like, my account still has, I think, 500 battles, because they didn't count separately. They were just part of the main statistics before. I think I have 500 battles in an S51, and I think I have an 89% win ratio on that.
How do you think I got, like, my 2,261 games? This is from the times that tank companies were dominant. I have 2,261 games because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget Hummy. You know, Hummy has like, how much win rate does he have on his account?
Plus, I think, or up
there.
Plus, he used to only play tank companies. Only.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we're just returning to where, they basically, once they've ruined tank companies, they just scattered all of the attention to these really weird formats. We went through historical battles, we went through national battles, we've gone through Rampage. And I think they're just going back and going, hey, that really worked well, and that's what made the original community, was those battles. We all played that way back in the day.
But like touching back on 15v15, said that the player doesn't matter that much anymore. Like I feel like in every single game, whether it be sports or esports, football, American football, you have your playmakers, right? Like you have the guy that is the star, the one that can do the play, the one that can get the crazy headshots, the one that can do the pentakill and lol. For example. The Cristiano Ronaldo that scores 3 goals against Dortmund and basically puts them through, for example.
But they always have their element. They're not dominating the whole game,
Yeah, but I don't think that somebody in World of Tanks with 50v15 can do the same thing. I think that it's like the player is just going to be a player. The only person that really matters.
Bat chat players. Can you imagine battles where you could put 3 bat chats and just come up in the flank, and there's like, that guy's a flank player. He always takes it home. Boom. It's going to happen. They're going to be players in their specific elements, and there's going to be more diversified situations. There's going to be different situations versus what we have now, which is a lot of the same situations.
But it's not like CSGO. CSGO, you can even make 1v5 clutches, and when in World of Tanks you're alone, it's harder to stand off, in your own, like make those clutches. It's hard because
it's hard at the beginning when they have full health, but it gets to be more fun when everyone's one shot, right?
In 7v7, like I think the player has a lot more influence on the course of a game. I feel like in 15v15 it'd be less. Like I don't, you can be sure like they're gonna be good matchup players, but in 50v15, which like I said with certain maps again, there is no potential for a flank, for example, because you can't. Sometimes you just can't. You run into 4 tanks from the enemy, and your batch flank, no matter how good they are, they can't like express their player skill because they have no opportunity to do anything. I feel like the only person that really going to matter in 15v15 is the tactician. Like I feel like that is the
Well,
He's going to
let's
be
say this. I
the
mean, right
biggest
now
player.
I'm hearing you. When you're saying we right now it's all based on players. What I'm hearing is generalist players, people that are good at everything, currently dominate the esport. Whereas we could get specialized players in 15 versus 15. I'm not saying that it will exist, but at least it's more of a potential that we could actually get people that are known as, he's the anchor. He really knows how to sit there and hold a flank. Nobody does that right now because there's no incentive to hold a flank in our current format. But with 15 versus 15, you get a player who's really good at just being annoying and holding a flank.
And I think it's the other way around. That at the moment
Yep.
you actually have specialists and people that are good at, like, I don't know, playing a Waffenträger, knowing when to shoot people, and then when it's 15 versus 15, that it will be more general, because like that there's not, now you can hold certain points with certain people, and you have everyone has his job in the tactic, and but if it's 15 versus 15, like, you can't tell me that every single player has its job. It will be like a lot more like, I don't know, 3 guys go there and then those 2 do that, and I think then it will be more about general skill than it is now. I think now there's more specialists than it will be in 15 versus 15.
I feel now
Yeah.
like the for example the physics thing, right, Lapse? Just go into the specialized thing, right? Why certain people do certain things is because they're really specialized in that, right? Like the physics, they figured that out, and of certain players do certain boosts because they're really good at it. Now in 15v15, they're leading 15v15, playing 15v 7v7 is a lot different. In 7v7, your personal, like for me, my map knowledge, for example, has to be amazing. Like if I play 7v7 and I play on the steps, I need to know a big portion of the map that is going to be played. I don't need to know the portions where the battle never happens, right? But I need to know the angles, the positions and stuff in 7v7. I need to know that extremely well, for example. Stefan needs to know that extremely well. Like the Waffenträgers, they need to know where they can peek, they need to know where they have discretion and not. That's all really, that comes by training a lot and learning positions, which Russian teams are so good at, like playing positional, because they know all the positions so well. Now if you go to 15v15, you have a lot bigger arties that do a lot more damage than a tier 8 arty, and your map knowledge doesn't need to be that great at all, because you're almost never going to be alone. Like you're always going to have a group with you. Like positional play is going to be less important. I feel like knowing the positions really well is going to be less important. Like you might know it in general, but like you're going to be driving around in bigger groups. Like it's going to be more about pushing at the right time and then playing a certain position.
I mean, I'll agree with that point. Timing is going to have a lot bigger role in 15 versus 15, but I feel like none of the thing. I'm just in my head playing devil's advocate and listening to all of your points and going, I think it's actually about equal. It's just still the game of tanks. People in bad positions because of bad map knowledge are going to get wrecked anyway by the player that has good knowledge. So that's true in any number of players. But I'll admit that timing, that seems to be a huge difference between the two.
I have a question though. You know how in 7v7, right? If you lose a guy because he makes a mistake, right? For example,
Yeah.
lose your bat shot on Moravanka one shot because it's beatable, right?
Okay,
I mean, it's no offense, man. It's just like to have a relatable subject. He dies. That means huge amount of things, right? Because 6v7, you're almost 95% to 99%
Yeah.
sure you're going to lose.
It's a
Because you're
huge
always going to have a
disadvantage.
less gun. Now take 15v15. Like, I've played Clan Wars with 11 people and won
Yeah.
against good clans.
Yep.
I've played Clan Wars with 12 people. I've lost 3 tanks in the beginning and still won easily 15-3 after.
I
I
agree.
feel like you said, like, people making a mistake are going to get caught out and die. That is true. That's 100% true. And they're going to die a lot quicker because there's a lot more guns.
Yeah.
But I feel even though they will get punished for their mistakes, it won't matter that much. Because with 14 other guys alive, for example, or 13 other guys alive, you can't make a play alone. Like, you need to make a play with a big group, and if it's the wrong play, you're all going to die, no matter how many tanks advantage you have. In 7v7, if you do this, you're probably still going to lose because you have less guns. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel mistakes are going to be way less punished. Like, make a mistake, it won't matter as much. You can get away with it. Like in 7v7, if you make a mistake, that's the game right there. So if a player like that's why you have the best players because they don't make so many mistakes. But if
Yeah,
there can be
and
15 mistakes, there'll be less punishing.
I hear commentators, going, "Oh man, those E100s, those three E100s were in the wrong position and they just got wrecked." But that took those tanks, 30 seconds to do that. So this flank over here happened. I just hear a lot more interesting things in my head when they're commentating on it than I hear trying to pick apart the actions of a single player in 7v7.
Yeah, but it's still like a reaction, action reaction, right? If somebody's pushing your right flank where you have like 3 100s, of course, like you're either gonna go there and try, help them out, or you're gonna push the other side because the enemy committed like 6 of their tanks to kill your E100s. But it's gonna be similar in that regard, I think. So
I mean, we talked about it a lot. I think the real world logistics are funner to degrade it on. I'm just really happy that we'll live in the actual ecosystem of our game as pro players. And at the end of the day, that's what really just gets me way too excited about this. And when Mo said it, I just kind of like,
that's like the biggest plus, right?
right now it's so annoying to try and explain this to people that play tanks. I meet children at live events that show up to like tank events and they play the game and they love the game and they got their first tier 10 and they go, "I love playing Clan Wars," and they love doing it, even though it's just usually a horrible experience for them. They just hit their head against the wall all the time, and they go, "What do you do in the game?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, we don't exist in your ecosystem. Sorry, buddy." So I just be able to connect like that with the average player seems pretty nice. And so all the other issues be damned. That's why I'm excited.
It's something that honestly, like at first, most of the people, myself included, probably have like the total negative response to the topic. But honestly, if you like think about it a bit more, then most of the things you said are true, and just there's too many positive sides to actually hate it straight up. So we have to actually see how it goes before. Like Daki as well. First, like his first reaction was like, "What? Oh my god! Like this is like stupid." And like 5 minutes later, he was like, "Yeah, but maybe this is going to be good, and this is going to be good, and this problem is going to be solved." So
Yeah.
there's positives and negatives to
I'm
everything.
not for or against. Like I'm just listing.
Yeah, we gotta see like.
I'm just listing all the problems that come up in my head, and I'm thinking about how you want to fix them and if fixable easily. And I just feel like it's going to require a lot of R&D on the subject on how to fix every problem there is, because there is undeniably there's a lot of problems with the previous formats as well, but there's undeniably a lot of problems that need to be tackled.
Well, it took us 4 seasons to get rid of our our really bad rules for the original format. Sorry, who did I interrupt?
Yeah. There's like for 15 versus 15, there's a lot of issues, but like as said in chat, you can fix it. It's something really interesting. You have to look into it. It can be really interesting. It can attract a lot of viewers. Like it's the real end game. It's Clan Wars, and it can really work out. We just have to. Everybody has to look at it like neutral and see how does it work. Is it fun to play and how viewership, etc.
As Laughter Watt said, money fixes everything.
No, I feel like Laughter is right though. I think this format wouldn't have not even that bad, but the thing we're missing so much is the full people. I know some people say it's not possible, blah, 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 but just speaking, if we had an actual, like a real POV, not one that is created by a millimeter of wires or a program that records, but something that you can actually just press a key and switch to, without a production guy directing everything, like go to this guy's POV now. Like if you actually had that, the game would be a lot more enjoyable, because even for I don't know if Dead Zone and Lapse and Stefan feel the same, but if I'm watching World of Tanks esports, the main issue I always have is that I'm watching from above. It feels like a arcade game. Like I when I play, I know the pressure I feel, and you can see that because like the way I move, the way I'm looking around me, that is what people should see how the pro players actually play, how they're looking around them, how they're looking at their teammates, assessing the situation, and making their move based on that. How the field commanders blink in the map on do this, do that, do this. But instead, what we have now is a forced POV on LAN, which only be used so often. And other than that, we have the arcade from above mode. Like I feel, even if you go 15v15, you need the POV. Like you need POV, or it just looks like StarCraft 2 that you're playing.
Do you actually think in 15 versus 15 there will be any chance, like if it's not in the end like 1v1, to do that like POV?
Yeah,
There will be there's no way you can use that properly in
you can
15 versus 15.
You
like-
put 3 batches on the flank and like you switch to POV one of them, or as you said later on, as Lapse pointed out at the beginning, like you're gonna have the brawl and then the cleanup afterwards, or like the smaller skirmish afterwards that happen that just gonna decide the winner of the game, and that's actually the when you want to see that POV, and it's gonna happen like probably
I
every
can
second
tell
game.
you. I can tell you some more. Like that skirmish you're talking about happens a lot less than you actually think between clans. What I've noticed from my experience, and I know you can disagree on, but between top clans, it is usually only very little amount of battles end up with a close skirmish. A lot of battles are decided in the beginning and are then just a stomp from there on. Like between top clans, it's not surprising to see like 15-2 score lines, 15-3 score lines. Like
Yeah,
battle
but-
goes one way and then the other team just excels past them.
You're talking
Exactly.
about just regular old weekly clan wars. You're not talking about the clan league that happens in America. The clan league that has strategies planned out for in America doesn't end up getting rolled like that. Teams put more effort into not getting stomped at the beginning. So putting up a basic defense. I mean, but yeah, weekly clan wars just get rolled. Yeah.
Yeah, just you have different people every time. Like Ducky, like 5 days in a row you're playing Clan Wars. Like how many times did it happen that you had at least 13 of the same people on every single day? It's not that common,
In
right?
Fame, it happens a lot because we have a first
Yeah,
team.
but like as well, like you're not like I don't. You're.
I mean,
I think
we
that
have a first
when you
team.
get
We have a first team. Like what you're saying is what happens quite a lot because we have that first team. If the people are there, they will be picked. And yes, you can 10 to 15 of the same players. Like when we played important battles, like Stronghold is probably the most important battles for us. And we trained against Dead Zone's clan, or for Clan Wars, for example. Like we actually trained for that because his clan only wanted to train. And that is clan strategies that you would see in Clan League Labs. We actually trained against probably the second best clan on the server, right? And we trained for Clan Wars, and we played dedicated maps beforehand, and we did make tactics beforehand. So, I mean, and it was still either one game was really close, and everything else was just dumb, pretty much. Once one team got the advantage.
Fighting over gold pots is not really interesting. There's not really a lot at stake there. Fighting over an actual pile of money will result in strategists that care a lot more. So I'm not convinced that
It's not about
just gonna be
strategies that
blowouts.
care a lot, but a lot more. It's just in 15 versus 15, once you have an advantage, like you can't get it. You can't like. I don't know if it's like 1k now in 768, you can get that back. But if you're like 2 tanks down or like 3 tanks down, it's so hard to get it back in 15 versus 15. It just snowballs so easily once you have a little advantage.
I think it's more about positioning.
Positional advantage and
Ducky, correct me if I'm wrong, Ducky, but you'd rather lose 2 tanks and like have the enemy just where you want them, and then attack them and just crush
Of
them,
course.
than just try and keep them alive. I think it's more about the positioning though in 15 versus 15, and the commander like having the exact like the proper decisions at the exact same time, like not like 5 seconds later and you lose 2 or 3 extra tanks. So
Laps, you said about if you make it worthwhile, right, money wise. Now, what do you think is worthwhile for? Let's keep Russia out of this for now because it's like it's a lot easier for them to make a living out of this game than for Western Europe and North America because cost of living is much higher, right?
Yeah.
Like the cost of living is much higher. What do you think will happen to the prize pool to make it worthwhile? Strategists, because leading 15v15 is a lot more exhausting than leading 7v7. I feel like 7v7 is a lot easier to control than a group of 14 other players, 14 personalities, 14 egos.
Let me. So it's a question of economics, and it's a question of how our group's going to divide this money. And certainly, you raise some interesting points. I'll use the word threshold. The money needed to be truly professional. Obviously, the threshold for that is lower in other lower cost countries,
Yeah, that's
so
why I
the money
said
is
keep
more
Russia out
motivator.
of it. Yeah.
But a lot of the North American teams, these guys don't need the money, are not living off of it, have other means to make life work. Even in Western countries, a lot of students are doing it because they're going to school and this is some additional money on the side. So I really don't think that we can talk about professionals anywhere but Russia and China. I think everybody else needs to be called a hobbyist. And the question is, at someday in the future, there may be enough sponsorship money that, we can really go professional at that level. But we're not anywhere close to there. Not even 10% of Western European players or American players are capable of being, and even then, they'd make more money driving for Uber. So if we're going to talk about how much money needs to be thrown in, it's a question of how much money do we need to throw in to motivate the teams. And one of the things that happens right now is these, at least the teams I've been a part of and what I've heard of is money gets divided evenly among these 7 teams because they're putting in all the same amount of effort. And if somebody really messes up, they might talk about taking money away from them. In a 15 versus 15, that whole assumption would fly out the window. You'd have more people like me who wants to contribute to the game but doesn't take money from it. I don't need it. I have another source of income, my daily job, and this is not about money for me. So I don't do anything in World of Tanks for prize money. And that type of motivation, volunteerism, things like that, will get involved in the game. And I'm not sure that we really want to talk about salaries and paying people to do this. This is not a job. This is a passion. This is hobbyists. And we're not at the level of spectators where we can pay professionals.
And I understand what you're saying, but for a lot of players, they will not for nothing like you say, because they could be spending their time just game. Because like for example, why would I make strategies? Why would I play the game if I can just do something else? If I'm not getting anything for it, what's the point of me spending
But when you
X
say
amount of
anything, you
time?
mean money, right? I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people are motivated by fame. A lot of people are motivated by getting on camera. A lot of people are motivated by being recognized. A lot of people are motivated just by just functioning, by being in the element, right?
I don't know. I just feel like it's not worth it for like I don't know if Deadson agrees. I don't feel like it's worth it to spend 3+ hours a day preparing for stuff, organizing trainings for stuff, for fame. Like I personally don't know any player in my clan that would show up to a game if they didn't get paid gold for it. For example, the only one I know that doesn't care about gold is Stefan. It's the only one that doesn't care. He just shows up and plays because he wants to play.
Well,
But he is the only one I know out of 100 people.
And I would say this, more tankers are motivated by gold than they would be money. Because we're all playing this game and we're all in that together. There's a lot of people who play the game that are buying gold, that have the resources, that don't need the money. And so the pile of cash, it means a lot to some people in this world. But for a lot of other people, they're in situations where they're provided by other means. I'm going to go into stupid social experiments, but we're trying basic income in other countries now, and guess what? When you do that, you're going to find a number of people that like to live on that, and they don't want any more money, and they just want to be recognized for their efforts. And I think you'll see more of that, and I think that already exists in the world of tanks as we know it, and what we're seeing here is the professionals that can live off of it, like the RU teams and the Chinese teams. They have more to commit, so they come out with better outcomes. But it's not like we're gonna lose all the other people. We stand to gain, even if there's not additional money into the prize pool.
Like you said, like I feel like the reason Russia is so good is because they're living out of it. It's their job, right? I'm also looking at competitive level, right? Just no money, but there is X amount of people that are motivated by the money, that put the amount in because of the money. I think that grand scheme of things, you're going to be increasing that. If you do not like, there's going to be less money, so you're going to be decreasing the time some people are willing to put in, for example, right? I mean, you can assume that there's going to be people that are going to be like, okay, I don't get the same like I did before, I'm going to spend less time on it, because it's not
or
as
I'm going to go to
rewarding
where there's more money for me. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I feel like you're getting to the point where there's going to be another competitive job. Like, I feel like EU and NA have been behind Russia for so long because Russia makes a living out of it and EU doesn't. Russian players can spend all their time on it, and EU doesn't. I feel like you're going to be getting another like variation in competitiveness where Russia just takes another leap forward and other regions kind of drop down.
SFC, extra funding motivates more because, for instance, I watched all EU and RU games, the VODs, so that's like, how much hours a week is that? That's like a lot. That's like 10 hours a week, just on watching games. And then you have to, train 5 times a week, with one of those being a match day, prep for those matches. Like, money is an extra motivator, but of course you already want to do it. It's really cool to do, to be on stream, to get all the fame and everything, but money just adds that extra motivation for you as an FC to work on it.
I completely agree. I'm not saying money doesn't motivate. What I am saying, though, is that I don't think we're going to lose a lot by spreading it a little bit thinner. And I don't think we're actually going to be spreading it thinner. I think you're going to see that the really skilled people will get paid more, and there'll be a lot more people that are willing to participate without as much financial compensation.
I tend to agree with Lapse there. Because we already see that in Clan Wars. A lot of people are actually playing Clan Wars, and just strongholds. I mean, you don't get money from strong. You don't even get gold from strongholds, except you like on those missions. But that's rare. You see that rarely. It just, I don't know. I think there's gonna be more people participating. It's gonna be bigger, for sure. Like that's. I think Lapse is just on point with that.
About strongholds some more, that's easily fixable. A lot of clans pay out gold depending on boxes you. Every clan does it that way. Pay out gold depending on boxes you're in.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, about the clans that are not participating that much on the global map, but they do play strongholds, like the skirmishes, and they're not actually that good to be on the global map at the same time. But they do want that, they're interested in playing some sort of competitive play that's actually in the game, like that 10 versus 10 or 15 versus 15 in skirmishes, but they're just not good enough to try and get on the map. So I think that Lapse is just on point with the conclusion that there's gonna be more people interested, even though even there's like, contrary to the fact that there's gonna be less money for individual player.
The thing is though, you start paying better players more. How do you define 15v15 who is a better player? Because probably damage wise, you're not going to be able to players.
That's gonna be up to each team. I gotta say, just to give you the math behind this, I've been on Simp for 4 seasons. I've not taken a dime from Simp. Why is that? I'm here to promote this team. I'm here to care a little bit about strategy. Haven't done anything the last 2 seasons. And I want to promote this game. I want to have fun with this game. And I show up to these finals. I'm a member of this community. You call me a mascot if you want. I'm the fringe end of it. If you get more people in here, you're going to get more people like that are willing to give up their prize money. So Simp has always been dividing their prizes among 9 people instead of 10. And I'm here contributing all my efforts, doing all this, having fun, releasing stress from them. You're going to see the same thing. You're going to see people that are motivated by entirely different stuff than money, and you're going to see more effort get put into it.
But I want to go back to the part where you said about paying your better players more, right?
Yeah.
I also feel like if you do that though, there might be people like you said, like you, that same. There's also going to be people that will put less effort in because they get paid less than the guy that's considered better anyways, even though he can't score goals like Cristiano Ronaldo. He just does like 500 more damage. I feel like it might cause internal issues, especially in a lot of the current pro teams.
This doesn't cause internal issues at Apple, where the CEO gets millions of dollars and employees get, between $20 and $120,000 a year. It's just discrepant pay, and it's based upon the amount of, and you can measure it any way you want. You can measure the number of hours, you can give tasks, and you can say this is worth more money. Whatever you want to do, we as humans know how to cut up a pie and be fair about it. Right, and we know that children get smaller pieces than adults. This is humanity. This is not a difficult issue.
Nothing, Ducky? Really?
Huh?
It's silent. We're all like,
I
Wow.
want to give other people the chance to talk as well. I don't want to hug the microphone.
Yeah, we're dominating here a little much. So yeah,
I don't want to be like the microphone hugger.
You know, the NA guys.
I could go another like 2 hours arguing with Lapse about his vision on the thing and my vision on the thing. I feel like in the end of the day, we're probably going to come to the conclusion that there is issues with it. He has a view on the game, he has a different kind of view on the game because he takes the game as different than I do.
We're on totally separate pages,
one.
Which I love talking about.
He has one approach to the game, and I have another approach to the game. And even if my arguments make sense, they might not always make sense to him because it's not the way he looks at things. Like we can argue about that. I can argue about that for 3 hours. Like I think this and this will cause by this, and he's like, no, because I think this and this and this will fix this. Like, I can talk for him like 3 hours about this subject and not let everybody else speak, and we'll come to the conclusion that we have a different opinion on things and we can't agree about everything in the same way.
I think Dead Zone's. Do you want to jump in here, Dead Zone?
That says what how do you call that? The poll from the
Stripper pole?
stripper poll, exactly. He's about to do a show.
He has
But
his
no,
disco ball ready in his
you and I represent the diversity of the tanks community, and there's a lot of different reasons why people play this game. And I think right now we're sitting in the corner, trying to be professionals, pretending to be like the other games. And as soon as we embrace our community, we're going to be paid a million times over from that. And I think you'll get more money. Honestly, I think the good players who are motivated by the money will find ways to wrangle more of it out of the league than they currently do.
One Dead Zone. You don't have to put your phone out now.
We see you want to say something, but
no, I was just distracted.
Distracted.
Give me an high five. Wait. You're on this side, right?
Yeah. Good job, guys.
Okay. Yeah, just 15v15. It has so much challenges, which we can talk about for like hours. Like we've already talked for an hour right now about just 15v15, and we can keep talking about it for hours. There's like disadvantages, advantages that have to be solved before it would be viable. It has to be like tested, people's opinion has to be asked about it, and it's gonna be something really interesting if it gets implemented. Like how we're gonna see teams react to it. Are we gonna see like full teams merge? Which teams are we gonna see merging, you know?
it's gonna be a completely different scene, that's for sure.
Like, what would make the argument a lot easier for both me and Lapse, because now we're just talking about, they have like revealed the top of the iceberg, like really just the little top of the iceberg, and we're talking about everything above it, under it, still the water, and under the water, the things that we don't know of. We have information about like Clan Wars, the things we know, the things we've experienced in our career, but we have no real idea how they are going to approach a 15v15 esports. We can just speculate. What we're doing here is speculating about rules, speculating about prize money, speculating about literally every single thing from A to Z. Like we can just try and fill out the things that we don't know. What make it really easy, and what's probably is going to be the best argument we're going to have, is when Wargaming does decide to come out with a development plan, a proper development plan. You know, like it doesn't have to be concrete, but every company comes out with a development plan at one point about what is the prospect for the future. What are they going to do? What is the plan for 2016? What is the plan for 2017? What do we want to achieve this year? What do we want to achieve next year? How are we going to achieve this? Or is it just like in the really back future, like 2018, we want to accomplish it, but we're not sure if we're going to be able to accomplish this. It's the goal. Like if they give us that, then we can actually go over like, okay, this is how they want to approach this. This is how they want to fix this. This is how we're going to tackle this. I think they still need to fix this, this, and this, and this. and then we'll actually be able to have a real discussion about without just speculating about what could happen, what should happen, and what won't happen. You know.
So does this officially count as a trailer for episode 2 of Frontline News?
We can work something out, you know.
Okay. So once Mo gets us the details, we'll definitely plan another Frontline News for that 2-hour conversation.
No, man, it's gonna be like when we get more info, it's gonna be like a whole episode just for that discussion, and we're gonna like start at 5 p.m. so we can get it done by midnight, hopefully.
Yeah, like I said with Lapse, like we have different opinions, and as long as we don't have concrete information about what's going to happen, we can both sit on the other sides of the iceberg and try and throw snow at each other and see what happens. But until we actually know what happens, like everything is just speculation.
I think we can agree that the future is bright.
One way or another, though, like I feel like 768 with like it's a lot of those people that were like 742. It's boring. The game doesn't move. It's the same teams always, and it's the same tanks always. When 754 was introduced, they were already happy. Like, oh, it's a different format. The maps are different. The rules are different. We see more tanks. Until the 54 meta came out, which was a sad thing. 54 Ice 3 meta, which kind of ruined that format. That went down the drain real quick. To 768, where we have seen a huge increase in viewership, like 20-30% extra compared to last finals, and a lot more people are starting to understand. So I do feel like wargaming has approached it correctly in the last few years, and I don't think they would do something like this without proper research onto it. So I do think they've been doing the right moves like lately. I mean, I think we've been getting a lot more people into the mode. I feel like fantasy on EU and RU could have made a huge difference viewership wise. Like, I feel like we should have touched on that at one point as well. Like, I forgot about that. I feel fantasy is one of the best things that have happened to NA in a longest time, because they have a really low prime time. Like, Lapse can agree to that. The prime time on NA is literally like the 6 o'clock in the morning on EU, you know, where nobody's playing. Like, that's just how it is right now on the server, which is sad. But they still have one of the, like, percentual wise, like, active players compared to viewer numbers. They have one of the highest. Why? It's because they did some pretty good marketing moves. Like, Fantasy has been a very smart project, a well thought out project with great prizes, and what it did, it's created a fan base for teams. Like, people start cheering for teams because for example, Simp is a good team, so I'm gonna put some players from Simp on my team. Okay, OP Overlord Prime, he does good every week. I'm going to put it on my team again for next week. And that way you're creating a connection between viewers and players that goes above prizes. Because at one point people stop caring about the prizes and are just watching for their favorite players, you know? I feel like that would have helped a lot if we had that a few seasons ago.
It definitely would. But, like, almost 140k people watched the finals on like all the streams combined. Just the final game, okay. There wasn't that many viewers before that, but the final, it was almost 140k across all the streams, and there was like 10k maybe on the other streams.
Yeah, it was like 3k, just Quickie Baby.
It was Quickie Baby had like 5k, and then there was like a few other streamers, so I kind of deduced 10k. It was over 150k. General views on viewers on the World of Tanks, but it's been actually like over 140k viewers on the final. So I think it's actually huge. I don't think there's ever been over 100,000 viewers on World
We
of
had
Tanks.
110k last grand finals. Pretty sure about that. 110k at the time. And like absolute.
In general.
Yeah, absolute max.
Now the Russians just had over 100.
Yeah.
The point is, wargaming is getting addicted to pushing the game, the pro format, towards the actual game, because they get a lot more response from it. So, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
And like I said, if they had Fantasy 3 seasons ago, they would have 200k viewers. I mean, just speculating.
Let Denton talk, please.
Don't forget, like, since last season, the viewership has increased by 50% on the EU stream and 60% on the RU stream, from the change to 754 to 768. So that's like quite a lot already in one season.
And the next question is how to keep these new viewers entertained and not get bored of the format, because 742 had a lot of viewers in the start and then was ruined because a lot of teams developed a way to camp with 5 tier-8s and squads. And then all those viewers, 742 was really promising at the start. All those viewers went, bye-bye, I'm not watching this anymore. And it took a long time to start recovering a small percentage of these viewers to make them come back and watch again. Because all they remember is camp. That's all they remember. You have to understand, people that watch this game in the beginning, all they understand is camp. They don't, like, if you ever read a pro forum topic, what you always see, oh, it's a 54 lightweight spam, or it's an Irish 3 spam. People that are not up to date to what's actually happening.
Just thinking about grand finals, the final Hell Races EL, that image is literally burned in people's minds. You know, the YOLO rush every round from EL Gaming, just YOLO, and that's it. That image is in the mind of a lot of people, and we have to refresh that image to a more exciting gameplay on 768.
Well, they do have something to see now with well, if you're just talking about the finals, of course, the Navi versus Hellraisers wasn't just a series of YOLO rushes. It was actually really, really entertaining. And if somebody actually thought about it, they could have learned a lot for themselves.
And the main lesson here is you can play really good until you get stuck on rocks.
Yep.
There's certain immovable objects in life, and the rock is one of them. Do not fight with the rock. The rock will beat you. What came first, apple or the rock? Well, we got the answer.
Okay, it's been over 2 hours now. Just final question, because I think it's maybe it's about time to wrap it up. Final question, which we could discuss for like 5 hours or 5 minutes, whatever. Do you think wargaming should, to an extent, involve pro players into actual development and esports, just basic development, further development of esports? Not completely, but to a certain extent, because things like that are actually happening in Dota and in StarCraft. I know StarCraft for sure, and I don't really watch League of Legends, so, but I know in StarCraft there's actually a lot of pro player influence on the balance patches, and just most of the things that's happening in the game.
Definitely, and I'm actually pretty sure that teams like Navi and Harris is actually
they are always involved
in that in Russia.
I was going to say the answer to the question is yes, and they already are. And a lot of us can't talk about it because of things that we sign. But I mean, certainly wargaming is not deaf to the players, and they take a lot of input, not just on the balancing of tanks and the balancing of formats, but they take a lot of input on all kinds of their stuff. So this is already ongoing.
I remember the testings from 754 with the map tests. There was a lot of, if you wanted to get involved, you could get involved. I feel one of the issues with a lot of pro players is, like, we had this discussion in the esports floor, right? If you don't know, this is a channel on Skype where a lot of professional players are together and talk about stuff.
It's
and when we learned about 15v15, we had a discussion. Like, a lot of good points were raised, a lot of talking points were raised. But one of the issues with a lot of pro players, including myself, I guess, is we all have a lot of opinions, but we're all really lazy to write our opinions down and actually send them to Wargaming. Instead, we'd rather just type our opinion in a esports channel, and then that's it. And then we complain about not being here. Well,
or talk it on stream.
Yeah, and that's a lot of issues. Like, a lot of people have a lot of good opinions, but never actually write them down. Like, the only person that ever did that was Shartak, which is a professional player as well. You compare him to Lapse, I guess, if they're about the same skill-wise. And he would write those down, but a lot of pro players, like I said, have good opinions, but don't actually send them to Wargaming. So I feel like communication should be better, even though there's a lot of involvement already as it is. Like they involved all the pro teams in testing if they wanted for the last format. So I don't think it will be any different for if they do 15v15 tests. I think Russian teams mainly because it's easier for developers because most of them are in Russia to talk to those teams. Like it's just easier, you know. You have direct access. And I think there will be lots of testing, lots of communication, lots of feedback going on, multiple testing rounds.
Well, I mean, the game has already made significant changes compared to any other esport out there. World of Tanks has gone under the most changes, and this is just proof that they have been and continue to listen to us. They're a bit slower than we want, you know, but that's probably a good thing because we're pretty ill-mannered players and we want it fixed now.
But yeah, you have to imagine if you want to fix anything for esports, you also have to take into account that any change you make to the game, any tank you change, any map you change, anything you change has an effect on clan wars, strongholds, and random battles.
54 lightweight.
It has an effect on everything, so every change that is made is done after revision.
Yeah, but then Lapse's point about 15 versus 15 just sounds a bit better, right?
Well, it does. And as I'm saying, I'll say it again. There is a big center of gravity in this game, and it is the experience most players have. And we have been orbiting that since the beginning. And we've just been taking closer and closer and closer steps. And it's accelerating at a rapid pace. And all of these things that are failing are getting pulled right into it. And I am not going to doubt that in this year, they're going to just they're deleting rampage mode, right? And I just see them collapsing more and more things into the. Why isn't esports a primary element of our client? It's all going to get collapsed into one. Mark my words. 9 months from now, we'll have 15v15 that gives you boxes and gives you a ladder.
We're gonna have a baby 9 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Supernova.
I wish you never got a baby.
Any closing words regarding, well, whatever we discussed?
I think Penta's gonna win next round finals.
Signed, okay. Penta, anything to say?
I fully agree with that. You know, we're prepped. We're gonna take over half of Navi's lineup and easy season.
I think you're gonna need more than half
Yeah,
to be successful.
I might as well use this opportunity to give a shout out and tell you to go over to facebook.com/Simp Gaming. If you want to see the nice pictures we posted, we had a really good time in Warsaw. You can see all those. Also, if you follow us on Twitter at Simp Gaming, you can see a lot of the posts that we have and get a backstage image of what it's like to be a pro player.
Yeah, that's that NA marketing that we sorely
That full sellout, boys.
Quick marketing
Yeah.
also.
That full sellout.
Guys, tomorrow, my YouTube channel, I think it's /WT the Dead Zone on YouTube right now. After movie of the grand finals, also backstage stuff and everything.
Is there? I have one important question, Dead Zone. Is there a Kabata plans done by the Killzone? Because otherwise, I'm not watching it. I'm just saying.
There's no dancing involved.
I wouldn't go watch it, guys. No, the kills are no fun.
fun. Stefan, anything?
Dead Zone, did you break your other stick, by the way?
No.
Oh my god. Stefan, anything to add? Say to the viewers, to your fans, to the girls that support you?
Not really.
Stefan is a simple guy. He's German. They're always straightforward. Like shameless plugs. He doesn't do that, man.
He needs more DPI. That's all we got from this.
Well, he's like his mouse sensitivity, quick and nimble.
Wow.
Dude, I've been staring at his GIF for like the last 2 hours and a half. It's been the best time of my life.
Yeah. Man.
I guess like we're on the closing notes here. I would like to thank Lapse and Stefan. I'm not thanking Dead Zone because he's gonna be here more often, so I don't want him to grow an ego. But I wanna thank Lapse and Stefan for sitting here for 2 hours and 21 minutes and counting and talking about this stuff.
And listening to Ducky talk. Yeah, thanks guys for coming. Hope it's been kind of enjoyable for the viewers, because Ducky was talking more than everyone else, but still
That's
we're
a
kinda
lie.
used to it. That's why we have him here, guys, to talk. He's like he's always gonna be the guy talking the most. That's why he's here. But yeah, you had good competition this time, Lapse. You know.
I tried.
Verbal
My mic is
competitions are the
better, so
best.
people are gonna listen to me more.
Yeah, your mic is better. That's.
I only have a bad microphone, so he has a chance to win against me. Otherwise, it would be easy Kafka. Wow, that sell out.
Oh yeah. Well, if Razor's gonna give me this thing, I might as well show it off.
Oh. Nice.
That's gonna show you sponsors. Come on, turn around.
Talk like this. You can find out how creepy it is.
Exactly. There we go.
Oh yeah. See, turn the game
This
on.
is getting.
It's really weird.
This is getting really creepy, man.
Yeah, this is let's stop while it's
All right,
creepy,
we got
yeah?
on our mics. All right, get a good mic, Docky, and I'll see you guys later.
I have ordered a new microphone. Okay, stop trolling me about my microphone. Doesn't change my points. They're still great, amazing, beautiful.
If anybody heard them and understood them, then yeah. Anyway, thanks guys for watching, and thank you everyone for being here. Lapse and Stefan, as Daki already said, we're gonna see that zone more than we want to, and hopefully. Yeah, such a dickish move, yeah. Hopefully, we're gonna have a new discussion next week, probably about the upcoming Clan Wars campaign. It's already gonna start by then, but it's not gonna stop us from talking about it. Now we might encounter some problems, getting guests, because the people that have most to say about the Clan Wars in general and the ongoing campaign are going to have a lot of responsibilities in their clans, organizing the battles and leading them. So it's not 100% sure that it's going to be next week, but let's say call it 99% sure. We're going to really try to do it next week and talk mostly about the clan wars. Not just the campaign, but in general. And of course, we're going to talk about the campaign because it's something that's really going to be important on the EU server. And yep, that's about it. Ducky,
You're all really beautiful. I have tears in my eyes. I've got to watch Stefan for 2 hours and a half. I've actually had a tough competition verbally for Lapse, which is fun, because usually it's pretty easy. Lapse can say that. Once you're verbally strong, every discussion becomes easy. And I'm getting really creeped out by these people waving at their webcams. So I'm gonna close the show and see you guys next time. Stop raving. It's weird, man. It's weird. Jesus Christ.
/wave.